Jigs and Bigs is proud to announce we're being supported by Old Glory Outdoors. They're a veteran-owned company that carries fishing and hunting gear. Plus, they're highly active in supporting veteran organizations and charities. Old Glory is an authorized dealer of favorite rods, FX rods, Guggen baits, X-Zone lures, Sixth Sense, and many more. There's a brick-and-mortar store located in East Brookfield, Massachusetts, but you can also order online at oldgloryoutdoors.com. They ship anywhere in the lower 48 states or order online and pick up at the store. When you order, use the promo code JIGS and BIGS and you'll save 10% off your complete order. Plus, you'll help support the show. Make sure to check out the apparel line called OGO Gear while you're there. Old Glory Outdoors believes in the slogan "Start 'em young" to keep kids away from screens and enjoying nature. They've got a full array of live bait too. Check out oldgloryoutdoors.com and use the promo code JIGS and BIGS. Save some money and gear up now. Hey, what's up, everybody? Bobby Roast Beef here for Jigs and Bigs, and it is Tuesday morning, or whatever time it is that you're actually listening to this. It's actually that time, but technically, full disclosure, right now it's 10:30 a.m. on Monday, and we're 30 minutes away from our current Instagram giveaway coming to a wrap, and we'll do this unveiling of who the winner is in just a moment. But I got Sean the Fisherman with me. Sean, how are you, buddy?
Happy Thanksgiving. How are you?
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, bud. How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was good. I ate food. I slept. I woke up. I ate more food.
Very nice. Very nice. It was mine was kind of similar. I mean, less sleeping, but it was really nice. It was a small get together, which was kind of nice. And I thought it was going to be this big shift of we don't get to see everybody, and I kind of liked it. I was kind of okay with just having a small get together with my parents and my wife and kids. So we had a good time. My sister had to work, which kind of sucks, so we didn't get to see her. But that's how it is when you're out there saving lives and shit. So. Yep. What can you do? But yeah, it was good stuff. Had a good time. Great Thanksgiving weekend. Really overall. I mean, Wednesday night was definitely different than most Thanksgiving Eve is the unofficial term for anybody else. I had to do a little bit of working, and normally I take that night off. I consider that night, especially in the bar restaurant business, that's kind of like amateur hour, like that and St. Patty's. I try to stay away from those days. Oh, yeah, New Year's Eve for sure. But, something about the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I'm kind of like, yeah, let's not. We'll take that night off. But, being that the bars and restaurants can't do what they normally would for business, they kind of wanted to make sure that they were going to have some business in there. So they had me in there. We had a great game, whole lot of fun. And then Thursday was Thanksgiving. Friday, I did what I like to call my my holiday hangover games at my regular venue on Friday, and we had a great time with that. That was a good time. And then you and I got together we'll get into the viewing of what we had, the content that we consumed that day. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But overall, let's go ahead. Let's jump into let's get to fishing, and then we'll get to all the other stuff in a bit. So, Sean, you didn't fish at all this week, did you?
No, I've been. If you want to cover my week, just real briefly, Wednesday. I don't go out on Wednesdays anymore on the night before Thanksgiving. So that was a quiet night for us. Did some homework. Thanksgiving was, again, eat, sleep, repeat.
Yep.
Friday, Black Friday, I actually did something fishing related, but not fishing.
Yeah.
Friday, I did some research, and I found that just on a whim, I decided to research. Is that the word? Research? Whatever.
Re-research.
Whatever it is. Re-research. I looked up the tackle boxes for our jig kits that we've been, needing.
Yes.
I looked them up at Walmart, and Walmart finally restocked. I thought they were discontinued. They were not. So I spent Black Friday, at a Walmart, which normally, under normal circumstances, I would avoid like the plague, but it wasn't so bad because of, the plague. We got, you and I we're talking all that day about trying to track them down, and we found them at Walmart's close enough that I picked up all but one. So we're ready to go with the rest of the jig kits. I'm very happy with that.
That's huge.
Yep. And then, I chilled out for the rest of the day. And then you and a friend of mine came over to watch the Jerky Boys record release stream, which had its ups and downs. We can cover that in a little bit. And then, so that was Friday, right? So Saturday, my brother came over. I took Saturday as a complete blow off day.
Yep.
Saturday, my brother came over once every 4 or 5 months, just one day devoted to hanging out, playing video games, bullshitting. Yep. And that was Saturday. And he introduced me to a new game, and I'm very pleased with it, and I'm hooked. So that's now an issue with trying to get schoolwork done.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then yesterday was schoolwork all day. Time I woke up till, I don't know, I went to bed at like 11 or 12. Just schoolwork, catch up. So today, here we are. When we're done with this, I'll do more schoolwork. And no fishing this week. I took a break from fishing, and that's going to pick back up because tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Chronic Trips December tourney starts.
Yeah, it does.
This is the first real cold weather one, so we're going to see how this goes. This is a new adventure.
I'm interested to see how this plays out. I've been specifically reaching out to a lot of the friends of the show that are in more, I'll say a little bit more mild climates than some of us Northerners up this way. And I've been reaching out to some of them, trying to get them involved because, I think, especially for a number of them, I feel like the ball is totally in their court. Like they've got this thing locked. All they got to do is just take a leap of faith and give it a shot. So it'll be interesting. I mean, we'll see exactly what happens. I'm ramping up for ice fishing. My brain is definitely more focused right now on ice fishing and getting ready so that I can actually go out and do this and kind of give that the full send I want to. As far as fishing for me, I got out twice this weekend. I went out on Saturday with my buddy Paul. We had a very interesting conversation back and forth via text that morning, and I wasn't 100% sure if he was going to make it or not, but he showed up like a trooper, and we just fished this small pond nearby. I wish I had more exciting news to give anybody, but we got skunked that day. This just very, 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 very hard bite. I threw a lot of finesse, but I also tried to cover water as well with as small of the moving baits as I could. And actually, I had probably a little bit more as far as nibbles with that than anything else. And then Sunday, my kids had conned me into taking them out for an outing in the afternoon, not to fish. They said, "Oh yeah, we want to walk the trail at such and such." So, and you can fish while you're there, and so that's the deal they made, and I put a couple hours in there. This one body of water that I went to is super pressured. I haven't caught a fish there in weeks. I mean, it's been really, really tough. They have pretty much turned off in the main portion where I am. But hey, we'll get there. But like I said, my brain is 100% on ice gear right now and trying to get out there. My goal is to try to get out maybe half a dozen times over the winter, if possible. That's what I would like to see happen. We'll see. It's a lot of that's going to depend on the locality of safe ice. We'll see.
Oh yeah,
that's going to have a whole lot to do with it. But I'm willing to take a ride.
Yeah, 6 is a good goal. I think last year I got out maybe 3 times. We never had ice on our pond. That usually increases my numbers. So that's an easy one. If you ever
definitely.
You just say, hey, I got a couple hours, that's easy as parking in my driveway and walking to my backyard with me, because, I've explained that the both on air and off that it's not public. So I'd have to be there with you. And that's an excuse for me to ice fish. So I'm fine with that.
Oh, absolutely.
I know this week up here, I think we're scheduled for some rain, a lot of rain. I believe. And
a lot of rain this week.
Which is good, get the water levels back up. Yep. But I think I'm heading out this coming weekend, if I can, out east with Nelson and cousin John from the Fishing Report. We might meet up with Nate Shagnon. We're tossing around ideas right now. It's all going to be weather dependent. So
sure,
we'll see how that goes. I'm up for it, and it also depends on the amount of homework I get done this week. Because
that too.
There's just so much writing. If anybody's going out there is going for their master's or has their master's or a higher degree, like, good for you guys. This sucks. I hate writing 5 to 10 page papers at the drop of a hat.
Yeah,
I hate it.
It's a lot, man. It's a whole lot, especially like it's even that much harder after you've had a lapse in being in school. Like it's one thing if you're just doing it all at once, but if you're just like you kind of step into the working world, do the grow the family, all that stuff, then you get back into it. You're just like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, so my hat's off to you, dude. That's not easy. So what else do we have? Go on.
Oh, I was just going to say with the college stuff, like the way I did it. I mean, I know the standard in America is get out of high school, go to college, focus on college for your 4, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is years,
12,
and then go ahead and get your get it gainfully employed at that point. But I mean, I definitely went the backwards route. Whereas I went to school for a couple of years, quit school, entered the workforce without a degree. Then went in the military because I knew how important school was and I wanted something to pay for it. And that turned into a career. So when I restarted my bachelor's and, changed my major and went from fine arts when, you and I were hanging out originally. And then when I was in the military, I decided that there was an aviation related degree, an aviation management degree I went after. And that, with when I started that in active duty, man, from that point, because I was going to school part-time, I mean, it took me 9 years to get that degree. So I got it in 2011. Went down to the school. The only time I did everything remotely. So the only time I ever visited my school was to walk the stage at graduation. And when did I pick my master's back up? 2016, I think.
Yep.
So now I'm on, just with sporadically knocking them out whenever I can. Now I'm on year 4 of a, 2-year master's, but it's life, as long as I finish it up, that's the important thing is finishing it up. So hopefully by March I'll be done. Well, I should be done by March. I'm not planning on going any further than that. So done by March. And then, we got a big 2021 coming up, which
that's the plan. We'll see.
Yet another teaser. People hate us.
Oh, I know. Well, I say, well, we'll see. No, there is 100% some amazing stuff happening in 2021. For a lot of people, they're trying to plan for, well, what if life doesn't go back to normal right away? And even if it does go back to normal for some of us, it's going to take some time to get there. So we'll see how it goes. But Sean is not blowing smoke. We've got great stuff lined up for 2021. You're not going to want to miss out. Unfortunately, that's about all we can share right now. But
to protect the innocent.
Be rest assured that when we're allowed to pull the curtain and display this mass wonder of amazement that we have for you, 100% we're going to do that. There will be live streams and everything. Trust me, this is huge.
Get the drum ready. What kind of curtain are we pulling?
It's a beef curtain. Of course. You expected something less?
Why are we 12 years old?
I know.
Speaking of 12 years old. So my sons this year, while I was enjoying video game day with my brother.
Yep.
We got the Christmas tree on what day did we get it on? Friday morning, actually. Black Friday, we went and got the Christmas tree. We go to a tree farm locally. We cut our tree down every year. We tag it and cut it down. So we went and got it. Oh, and it was the first hauling job for my new truck, by the way. The Tundra has arrived. I have moved into a big boy truck.
Yeah, you did.
My kids are enormous and they can't fit in the back of a Tacoma anymore. So that's been going perfectly well. Anyways, we got the tree on Friday. So the tree's up. My kids decide they're going to decorate it. My wife put the lights up. My kids are just getting all the ornaments out. Well, at some point in the past, someone got us, or we got an ornament that was simply a pickle. Have you seen that? Like that made the rounds a couple years ago.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, one of those.
So my wife alerts me as I come downstairs and says, wow, the tree looks really good. Our oldest son did a bang up job. He was throwing ornaments all over the place, really spaced out, did a great job. And she goes, look what the kids did. And there's 2 shiny balls right behind the pickle.
Of course there are. Of course there are.
Which is staying up because that's my house.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. That is awesome.
And my wife's laughing. She's like, yep, they're your kids. I go, yeah, they are. That's how things roll in my house.
Oh, that is awesome. I'd expect nothing less. Yeah, we have that. There's a tradition with that pickle ornament, too. Like, you're supposed to, it's got to do with like who opens the first gift or something. I think my wife knows all this crap. I have no idea. But yeah, there's like some kind of like a theme or something to do with that ornament, that pickle ornament. I don't understand. But yeah, I gotta give them credit, man. That's all. Talk about a couple chips off the old block right there.
They grow old so quickly.
They really do. And all you can do is hope that they'll make you proud like they did. And that's, that's it. Perfect. Also, I should say, speaking of being juveniles, why don't we jump on and talk a little bit about that Jerky Boys record release?
Okay.
Yeah, that was amazing. So it's no secret, I mean, Sean and I are clearly of the generation, of the jerky generation, if you will. We kind of, we grew up, we get this humor, we're crank call aficionados of our own and appreciate the work that the Jerky Boys have put out there for the world to really celebrate over and over again. It's a level of comedy that has never died. It will always be funny. Even younger generations think that this stuff is hilarious. But Sean got wind of a brand new Jerky Boys release and jumped on board to get what was it? What was it, like a listening party, I guess, or like a preview?
I think it was a record release live stream.
Yeah, so. It was a live stream. So you had Johnny Brennan from the Jerky Boys, and who was the other guy with him? Was he from Gotham?
I don't.
Comedy Club?
He was either from Gotham or what? Was he a producer?
He might have been. That's actually.
I think he was because
he could have been.
It seemed like Johnny was asking him some of the questions about tracks and stuff like that. So I assumed he was a producer. I may be wrong. I don't.
Yeah, that's a good point. We should look into that. But yeah,
he wasn't a Jerky Boy, so I don't care.
No, exactly, exactly. And it was pretty good. And I had actually afterwards all weekend long I've been listening to that new album on Spotify, and it's great. It's great. You really should give it a spin. It is fantastic.
I will.
Especially, and I feel like I've dealt with callers like this. The Bikram Yoga one. That's all I'm going to say. The guy on the phone for the Bikram Yoga. Oh my God. I feel like I deal with that guy all the time in my business, but
Yep. So we watched that. The big takeaways from that were, and I really thought about that. I'm going to give that solid a B- for the whole night.
Yeah, right? I think it was pretty good.
Yeah. Here's my factors on the B- as to why it wasn't like an A. Number one, it was twice the price of some of the 3-hour like streaming concerts I've got over the past year.
Oh yeah.
So I've gotten like excellent shows for $8. I mean, that was like $16. And then the other thing that kind of sucked, and I think Johnny Brennan knew he was walking into a trap on this one, was they had advertised that he was going to do prank calls on air. And what do you think happened? No one picked
up the phone. Exactly.
So that's 2020. Well, that's the digital age. You know what I mean? That's the way things go. Other than that, the new tracks that they put out there for us to listen to and some of the storytelling that was done was great.
Fantastic. So
yeah, those two things kind of knocked it down. And other than that, I thought it was a great show. It's fine.
And once they mentioned on that they were going to try and take live calls, immediately my head went into two spots. First, I was like, nobody's going to answer their phone. It's so hard to get people to answer their phone now unless like they want something from you. Or they're expecting you and know who this is. Plus I know they had advertised they were doing this 6 p.m. Pacific time, but they were in New York when they did it. So you were talking about it was 9-10 o'clock. It was 10 o'clock by the time they were making these phone calls on the East Coast. So I mean, I'm not sure if they had vetted these calls beforehand or what it was to make it to get an idea of who they were calling. But I had a feeling it wasn't going to go the way I kind of hoped.
I think they had vetted him because they were talking about, hey, this is so and so, and he works like quality assurance at a meat packing plant. Yeah. They knew who they were calling, but I'm wondering if it will who they didn't say where they were calling. If it was East Coast, true. West Coast, Central. The highlight of the night was they played one of those new calls, and I think it was the one with the. It was a Social Security one.
Oh my God, that is such a good call.
I, and my buddy that was over were literally crying. I was crying. Yeah. I was laughing so hard. They still got it.
Oh, definitely. And when they got him to lose his mind on the other end, that was like bravo. Because I've had that phone call, the Social Security Administration. Like I've had, and I'm sure most of our listeners have probably been like, I know exactly that phone call. Yeah, they got him, and they got him good. So go on Spotify. You can check the album out right there. It's good stuff. It's hilarious. I'm never going to look at an iRobot the same. Yes. These are just things, we've grown to deal with.
That one's available, I think, on YouTube because that was their quote unquote opening single for the album. So yeah, that was a good one. We've been making fun of that one for a week, or throwing catchphrases around in text messages.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. That was really good. It was one of those things. I'm kind of glad that they're out there. I listen to the Jerky Boys with my kids, and I don't care if people think I'm a bad parent for it. I'm like, I listen to the Jerky Boys with my kids, and as bad as they want to enjoy crank calls, that heyday has gone. Yeah. You can't do them yourself, so you might as well enjoy them when, the old timers used to do it pre-caller ID.
Yep, and I don't know how you got introduced to them, but I remember very clearly in the early 90s, it was either 90 or 91. I can't remember if it was 8th grade or freshman year of high school, but I mean, most of us got introduced to the Jerky Boys through a 10th or 7th or 8th, 9th, whatever generation cassette.
Oh yeah.
So someone had recorded them over and over again. That's how, it's not like sharing. I mean, I know, God, this is even going back 20 years, but Napster kind of blew the doors off of quick file sharing. Yep. But before that, it was, you had a recording of some sort, and you either had components on your stereo, which was expensive. And to this point actually still is, which I can get into in a second.
Yep.
But you used to record it that way. But most often than not, for kids like us, for cassettes and shit like that, we would just put two cassette players, two boom boxes facing each other, play one and record the other. So the sound quality went to shit after 3 generations.
Oh yeah.
It just got worse and worse.
Worse than normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you would have a tape that you could barely hear, and you would have to screw around with the graphic equalizer just to make it audible. And then, you'd be sitting around with 3 of your buddies around a high end, whoever's parent had a high end stereo, trying to get the sound out and just laughing. And then you would turn around and try to do it yourself. So I'm told.
I distinctly remember when Jerky Boys 2 came out. And, you and I, when that came out, we were both at Bernie's, and we were of the age where we were out buying music regularly. And I can remember being in that storeroom at Bernie's HOT, and I know for a fact you, myself, and Billy were there. Chuck may have been with us. It may have been Chuck who put the tape in. And I just remember all of us being buckled over in laughter with some of those initial tracks. And they said that was the album that really blew up for them. People went out and bought so many copies. And then from there, they went back and bought the initial one, because they were looking for more content.
See, I remember that exactly. We were laughing, but I remember you, myself, Billy, and Chuck all being, or whoever it was, all being a little above it, because a lot of those tracks on that second Jerky Boys album were bootlegged. Yeah, we'd heard them for 5 years.
Yes,
we're like, you guys are just getting this now. We've been ahead of the curve then, But that's how things used to happen, Mm-hmm. And even going back even further, going back another 10 years, you take some of the thrash bands. That's how thrash metal really went nuts, because people were tape trading, That's true. It. Shitty quality tapes, and let's get a listen, and that's that. What I said a second ago about the audio stuff, audio equipment costing money. So I had a conversation with my dad yesterday, and I was like, hey, what do you want for Christmas? And he's like, hey, see if you could find me a CD player. Because my dad and I both still listen to CDs, but for different reasons. He kind of has decided that's where he's going to stay in time. I have for another reason, because I'll still listen to audio files, MP3s, even Windows Media, whatever.
Yep.
But I like having a hard copy.
Yeah.
I have hard copies of CDs, and I have, I'll make sure any CDs that I have, I throw onto an external hard drive, just in case I lose something. I don't want to pay for music more than once, but I make sure I have a hard copy. That's me. He's doing it because he's getting in his 70s, and he doesn't give a shit about MP3s or small players or anything like that. He just wants a CD. So exactly. I get it. 2 different reasons, but it's still around. So he asked me for a CD player. I started doing research. So I said to him, I think I think what you're going to find, and I have two of them in the house, are the little, you've seen how small like DVD, Blu-ray, and CD players have gotten now. They're tiny. They're smaller than laptops.
Oh yeah, they're super tiny.
I said, Dad, that's what I think you're going to find. But I know he was looking for a big component, like drawer 5-disc CD player.
Yeah,
I
like
looked
a
them
carousel.
up. Yes, and I only found 3 companies that make them, and they're all high end now.
Oh, I believe it.
So Denon, Yamaha, and Cambridge. And I'm like, Dad, you're going to pay $300 for this. Do you want to do that, or do you want to get one of the DVD Blu-rays? And he's like, I'm not getting those. Some of the DVD Blu-rays now at least have a screen on them, so you can see what track you're on and the time. But like the ones I have are so cheap, I just bought cheap ones. Just to play
there's just like a next button.
DVDs.
You're like, okay,
yeah, where you're going to go in and see the menu on your TV, anyways. So, so that was kind of interesting to see that. That was a learning experience for me. I'm like, wow, so if next time I have to buy a CD player, which hopefully won't be anytime soon.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to pony up, because that was not cheap. They were like seriously starting at $300.
Mm-hmm.
But I know the sound quality is going to be there, and that's what I look for. I mean, you've seen my audio setup. Yep. I don't fuck around with audio, so.
It is. Fuck around with audio, he says.
Well, I mean, we got a couple minutes till the drawing. I'll tell everybody what I have. I actually have a Technics receiver from 1985, and it's the most powerful receiver I've ever purchased. I mean, I can't get it up over.
Hang on.
It's on I can't get it. Oh,
you
God. I put that one on a T for you.
Yeah, you did. You did. That was a bunt right there. That was a bunt.
Yes. So that receiver has a slide for volume. That's how old it is. All right. It doesn't even have a knob. So it has a slide, and I can't even get it past, I think, 2 on a scale of 1 to 10, because it's so loud. Because I have it run through a graphic equalizer amplifier, which is great. I have a first generation, and this is kind of funky. First generation CD DVD burner that I use for my CD player that I got in like 2000 or whatever, 2002, and then they are run into my holy grail of audio, my dad's speakers. He gave me JBL Century 100s from like 1972 that he got on his Vietnam tour. He got them in Hong Kong. So I had to do some refurb with those. You've seen the repairs I did on them. They were a little beat up.
Yeah, and speakers don't last forever, but you can bring them back.
I mean, the terminals were shot, so I replaced those. That was easy. But the big thing that I didn't want to spend the money on was the one of the woofers had a tear in it, not a rip or a puncture, but like it was layered.
Yep.
Like it wasn't, I don't know how that thing got that way. I looked at it and I said, I'm just going to hit it with Gorilla Glue, and it worked, and it hasn't decreased the quality that I've noticed, which is surprising. So Gorilla Glue for your paper woofers, people, if there's any issues, Gorilla Glue will fix it. And then, it's fucking loud. It's loud.
It sounds that way.
It sounds, but it's beautiful. Like it's a really high quality sound.
Yep.
I mean, the wood that those speakers are made of, you don't see that shit anymore. I don't know what forest in Bavaria those speakers were made in. The wood came from, but my God.
Little Smurfs are handcrafting loudspeakers in like the Black Forest somewhere.
It was definitely made with Smurf labor.
Clearly.
So, clearly. So, I mean, I'm happy with my audio setup, and I hope it never dies.
No, I hear you, man. But hey, before we jump into this drawing, let's jump into, because this intro has been all over the place. I mean, there's been nothing really for fishing to get into, so we kind of been just doing this whole thing. Let's jump into last Tuesday evening and get into our conversation about Roadkill. All right?
That's going to take a while. We got to go in like what, 5 minutes here? We got 4 minutes.
Well, keep in mind though, this is a podcast that's going to be edited, so the drawing will have happened at that point. I can do the drawing in the meantime. Then we can.
I know that. I thought you were trying to do it in flow.
Oh,
okay.
No.
Never mind. Oh, let's talk about all sorts of shit then.
So let's jump into that. I want to jump ahead, and so this is what I'm actually going to do. I want to get his name right. I want to say it was.
While you're looking, I'll just jump on something else too for an update for all of our wonderful loyal listeners. You did a lot of hard work over the past couple of days, and you ran it by me, and we think we have found the shirt company and merch company of our dreams. So we're going to be pursuing that. So the official Sean the Fisherman shirt is eventually going to be made. We are baby stepping it because we want to do this right. But what you showed me yesterday, that website, that looked good. So nice job on you.
Yeah, so that's actually a great thing that we should certainly mention. I had just put out some info about when was this? Was this during our live stream, our Thanksgiving live stream? I think we mentioned it then. Or maybe previous episode of the podcast. Earlier on, we had mentioned that we have a couple of designs in the works, specifically one that we're calling the metal shirt. That shirt design, I think I've found the store. I think I have. I had a list of, in total, it was like 16 or 17 different companies that do merch, and what we needed to was whittle those down to a company that drop ships like what we currently use with Bonfire, but one that would allow for us to put out some products with some unique printing that weren't an option with Bonfire. So we have found another store. They have far more products to choose from, which is great, but we've got other designs too to go with a lot of this stuff. So it'll take some time to get up and running, because we're not exactly privy to a lot of this stuff. We're going to have to get a little bit of help from this one company to get things up and running and make sure quality is where it needs to be, but it's happening. And so once it does happen, the website will be updated with the new store info and everything else for everybody to check out and kind of enjoy. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So the Roadkill thing, this is what let me set the stage for everybody. So this was last Tuesday. I had just wrapped up my trivia game, and this was Tuesdays. Sean had his family there, and I get this message, and it hits me just out of the blue. I said, okay, this is a little bit interesting. So I get a message from Nick Leon. And Nick writes, and he says, just hit my first deer listening to your podcast. Safe to say I'll never forget it. Which was amazing. My initial reaction, I wrote back, I said, oh, you okay? There's the alarm. There we go. I said, you okay? He says, oh yeah, I'm fine. Just know that 50 years from now, I'll be remembering who the Jerky Boys are because of this very moment. And I said, then my work here on this planet is done. Smiley face. It was pretty interesting, but it got us talking about, because once you say, oh, so did you hear so-and-so hit a deer? Everybody shares their stories. So Sean's got a story. I've got a story. And I will say this, my wife and I, when we went to go pick up the puppy, we had taken a nice long drive through Pennsylvania into Ohio. And on the way there and back, we counted no less than 51 deer carcasses on the side of the road. And this was like we did a round trip there and back within a 48-hour window. So it was a lot of time on the road. We counted all these deer because we had nothing else to do. And so that was interesting. So Sean, tell me your story.
I've got two. I'll do them chronologically. The longer story is first, and it doesn't have as much punch, but it's very interesting. It's a great FYI story that people can research at their will. I did. So being stationed in Nebraska for years, I would drive home. I think I drove home 3 times. I think 01, 02, and 03 I drove home, or I think maybe I flew home once and drove home twice. Whatever. I did drive all the way home, took a couple weeks off, and drove. So there was a class I was in the middle of taking on fiber optics. It was an entry level or intro level to fiber optics. Mm-hmm. So I had to do this one project, and I was really struggling to come up with something on, it was broad. It was anything that fiber optics or anything to do with really manipulation of light. So I said, okay, I'm thinking about this. Now I drive home. Let me think. So where I was at, Omaha is on the eastern part of Nebraska. So Iowa, I'm thinking about it, nothing. And then I got to, what's after Iowa? Indiana, I believe? No. Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, I believe is how it goes. So I'm in Illinois or Indiana. And on the side of the road on this one stretch of 90, there was a big sign saying something like, beware animal indicators for next 2 miles. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I keep driving, and every, whatever it was, 500 feet, there's what looks like a light post with a couple of solar panels on it, mm-hmm. and 2 indicators like you would see at a railroad crossing, like lights. So there's a sign up saying, if an animal is in the road, beware lights, the lights will go off. So what I found out about those was when I got back to Nebraska after the trip, and I saw him there, and I saw him in 2 states. I want to say it was Illinois and Illinois and Indiana keep coming to mind. Maybe it was Illinois and Pennsylvania. I can't remember if I went through Pennsylvania that much. Either way, I saw him in 2 states, and that really got my attention. So I started doing the research when I got back for that course, and it turns out that there's a small, like a laser, like a trip laser, like a trip beam, whatever you want to call it. That if an animal breaks that beam, the lights are going to go off, and it's going to alert the driver. The driver can then take defensive measures driving to avoid whatever animal is in the road, whether it be a deer or a raccoon, whatever. So then I started researching more and more. I'm like, well, that's cool. I mean, it's solar, so I guess that's light. I can kind of weave that into a research paper, I guess. And then I started doing more researching on what other, methods were available for avoiding this problem. Because I mean, as well as I do, it's funny to say roadkill, but you hit a deer with your car, there's a chance you're going to get seriously hurt or possibly even die. You know what I mean? It's no joke.
Oh yeah.
So then I started doing some comparative research to other methods, and I found, building overpasses and underpasses for the animals. I know a couple states are using them, but they're incredibly expensive. Like you're building a road, you know what I mean? It's not cheap. And one of the other methods I found that was being used, and forgive me, it's been a while since I went over this, but I used it as the paper was a topic. I found a gentleman who was using light refraction techniques. Okay. So light refraction is the basis of fiber optics. You send light within basically a wire made of glass, broken glass, and it's refracting various angles to get from point A to point B. And you encode it, you put your information on there on the frequency and it's gone. So using these little refractors, they look like what we would use up in the Northeast and actually anywhere there's snow. So you put on your little reflectors so the plows can see them when you see your driveway, see the road, so they're not carving up your lawn. We use those up north, but these were, when you look down on them, they're triangular shaped. The flat end went away from the road, and the two angles went, the 233, the 30 degree angles went, are they 30? They're 45. Whatever they were, 30 degree. I think it's 30. They went pointed at the road. And when obviously there's no electricity or anything hooked up to them. So they were triggered by headlights, because if it's broad daylight, you can see an animal.
Yeah.
But at night, dusk and dawn, that's, low light conditions, you're going to have your lights on. So these reflectors, or refractors in that case, were red. So when your light hit them from your car, they were staggered on each side of the road, just like a fiber optic line.
Gotcha.
And the light would basically flood the road from these refractors with infrared. So the animals can see that, because, when they say a deer in a headlights, a deer staring at you, they don't know what the hell it is.
No.
But if our headlights were infrared, the deer would freak out when they see them. The raccoons would freak out when they see them. They get the hell off the road.
Yeah.
What this guy did was basically made the road into a faux fiber optic cable with infrared.
Yep.
You flood the road with the red, the animals get the hell off it. You just have to stagger them up and down so that the infrared, if a deer can see it, maybe a raccoon can't because it's above its head. So you just got to get maybe 2 or 3 set at different heights, which I thought was fascinating. And then the costs of it were nothing. I mean, how many, you can get a bundle of those reflectors at, Walmart for what? A package of 5 for like $5, $6.
About that. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can cover a mile of road for like $50 plus maintenance. It's nothing. Like the way these things work, it's great. So I ended up contacting the company's owner for the report. I mean, I did a knockout job on this report, and I was very proud of it. So proud of it that I had a speech class a couple of years later that I had to give a speech on, and I brought in all the information the guy gave me and did the same thing. So I got some mileage out of this report. I got 2 A's on this thing. And the funniest thing that and honestly kind of sad thing, that when I was interviewing the guy, it was a Streeter, Mr. Streeter, spelled Streiter, and they're called obviously Streeter lights, the Streeter system. When I interviewed him, he had said, when I got the information from him, particularly about the costs and the maintenance costs compared to anything else, like those solar panel ones I described, dude, those were like $5,000 a piece. So, and you needed whatever, 30 of them to cover a mile. And this, comparatively, this was nothing. You know what I mean? And I said to him, I said, why aren't more people using this system? This just seems like a great way to keep animals off the road so drivers don't have to react to them. He goes, I wish I had an answer to that question. So any public officials that are looking at reducing, roadkill period, whether it's, deer or moose or anything else, look into this system if it's still around. I mean, it was 15 years ago I did this report, so I have no idea if the company's still there, whatever, but it was a very interesting low-cost solution to preventing, damage to cars, possible deaths, injuries. It seemed very common sense. So I don't know why high roadkill states like Pennsylvania's got a rep for it for deer. And I don't know why it's not being used, but it was inexpensive and it just seemed like a smart thing to do. So there you go, Mr. Streeter. I'm still pumping your product 15 years later.
Look at that.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and share some info with you while you've been doing that. We'll continue this roadkill stuff in just a moment.
Okay.
I have done this drawing 3 times so far. And, well, this is my 3rd time that I'm doing right now. Our first winner that came up did not follow all the accounts. The substitute that came up did not follow all the accounts.
Pause. This is a lesson, people. There are rules. Read them, please. Don't just blindly jump into stuff. This is going to become very important come 2021.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
You need to read rules for things you're involved in.
I'm gonna throw this out there that so I did a follow-up. And we had a conversation about somebody who actually had just entered this this tournament, and they won it, but did not follow all the accounts.
So that's 3?
That's 3 of them. Then I checked number 4. They did not follow all the accounts. So now I'm going, this is time number 3.
Go ahead and draw it. I'm going to give a PSA. Follow the rules. Read them to follow them. It's a 2-step process, folks. We love you guys. We want to see you succeed. We don't want to do this over and over again.
Okay, let's see.
We want to give you free shit the first time. I had such high hopes for our audience.
I know. I know. Hang on.
Was that a new Boston Terrier puppy cameo that we just heard right there?
That was a Boston. Oh. There we go. Yes, we have a winner. We have a winner. All the accounts are followed. Everything looks good. The one and only Mr. Christopher DeBari is our winner.
Hey.
Yeah, Chris DeBari is our big winner for our November giveaway. So that's the important thing, folks. So we have to run this this giveaway until we get somebody who fits all the criteria, and Chris is the first one that gets it. So there won't be a substitute this one around because that he was the substitute of the final one that I had run through, where all the bells are checked. So nice job, Christopher DeBari.
How many times do you have to run that? 5, 4?
That was time number 3. He was the substitute on the 3rd one. Yeah, he was the substitute on the 3rd one. So he is our big winner. Chris DeBari will be we'll be DMing you with some info, and we'll hook you up. He's a local guy, I think, isn't he?
I have no idea.
I think so.
I've been messaging him, I think, every now and again.
Yeah. I want to say if he is a local guy, then that's great because then we can just deliver his prize to him and save on shipping. I'm all about that. That is awesome. Congratulations, Chris. Good for you, buddy. You got some really, really great stuff from some good friends of ours. Reaction Tackle, Dark Horse Tackle. Of course, you get your jigs from your jig kit from Jigs and Bigs. We've got an assortment of plastics from Stretching Lines Angler's Gear. We've got a whole bunch of bestsellers from Old Glory Outdoors. And, of course, we've got a package from Hookset Hoodlums. I'm just waiting on some of those items to arrive, and once that's the case, we'll get them out to you, whether you prefer us to just ship them or drop them off to you. We can do that. So congratulations, buddy. Good for you. So that does it. I'm glad we have a winner. It took a few go rounds to go ahead and do where we found somebody that had all the boxes checked, but nice job. And I'm not going to. What's that?
So you said it was time number 3, right? So every time you pick, we pull a primary and an alternate.
Yep, a primary and an alternate.
So that was person number 6. So there were 5 fails.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little disappointed. I don't want to steal from Chris's thunder because it's awesome he won it, but like, come on, folks, we're better than this.
Well, you got to make sure that all the boxes are checked. You're following all the right stuff, and it's doing the lottery. I mean, some folks will just comment and tag people, which is great, but in doing that, you're not fully entering. You got to follow all the accounts that are listed, all the partner accounts, in order to be the winner. That's a major one. Some of these are already ones that, especially if you follow us, some of these are already ones that you're already following. So you got to watch for those other ones that are new to the must follow game. It's like that's the thing. That's especially with the prizes. A lot of these are new, so they have to be followed. So awesome. Well, I'm glad for Chris. That's great. I mean, this is a really, really good package. I'm not going to out anybody as to the names that we did pull beforehand because I don't want to piss all over their dreams or anything like that. But
put up the Game of Thrones shame gif. That's all we need to do.
That's all we need.
Shame.
Oh.
Shame.
But no, I mean, I knew eventually we'd get a winner that would come up that had all of the criteria needed, and we got it. So let's get back into Roadkill. Now,
that's the best segue I've ever heard.
Let's get back into Roadkill. Enough with the winners of this monthly giveaway. Let's get back into Roadkill. So go ahead, pick up where you were, Sean.
Well, just to put a nail in the coffin of the question you just asked. Yes, Chris lives in Mass. He's it looks like towards a little more on the eastern side of Western Mass, but he's around. So we're close. Chris, get in touch with us.
Yeah,
congrats. All right, back into the Roadkill. So here's where shit gets dangerous. So all this cross country roadkill investigation.
Yep, all the shenanigans.
Yep. All that 2003 shenanigans. All the stuff I know about preventing roadkill, preventing injury, and preventing auto damage.
Oh, for sure.
Doesn't mean a shit up to Shears. Okay.
No, it doesn't.
A few years later, when I moved back home, I was actually driving to work up to Shears for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And at the time, my wife had we had just had our first son. I want to say she was either off that day because she worked with me. We were both working together up at the same location.
Oh, okay.
So we were driving from Springfield to Pittsfield every day. It just sucked. Yep. So there was one day she was not there with me. At the time, and this is funny because of my height. You always hear that. That saying that tall guys always come out of small cars. Well, with all my cross country jaunting and everything over, whatever, from 2003 and 4 to, I don't know when it stopped, 2008, I guess, those 5 years, I had bought a Civic hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, my gas mile, I was getting 50 miles to the gallon. It was nuts.
Well, when you're going to Pittsfield every day,
well,
that's a good decision.
Coming home from Pittsfield every day was where the mileage was. Going up the mountain sometimes because it was a different hybrid system than like a Prius, where I basically those first gen Civics, and I don't know if anything's changed. I had the second year they were out that I wanted them because they didn't look like a hybrid. It looked like a Honda Civic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was the same frame, but here's the thing: it had a battery pack in the trunk, a huge battery pack.
Gotcha.
And the engine was basically a go-kart engine.
Oh yeah.
So there was an integrated motor assist. So the charge kicked in, or the electricity helped the car go faster. But if you had no charge, you didn't go very fast.
No.
So going up the mountain, I had to build up a charge going, I think from exit 6 all the way to Westfield, where you go over the river, you go over the Westfield River on the bridge. Yeah. And then if I didn't have a charge, before I even got to the Blandford rest stop, my wife and I would be pulled over in the breakdown lane going about 25 miles an hour with the blinkers on. So that happened.
Oh God.
But I got on the way back home, the gas mileage was nuts because I would just leave it in 5th gear, and it was a standard too. I would just leave it in 5th gear and let it coast, and that battery was charged in about 2 minutes. But whoa, I believe there was electricity pickups on the axle somehow, and as it spun like that, it would pick it up.
Would generate. Yeah.
But going uphill, it was bad. It wouldn't work like that.
Yeah.
So the charge would get expended as it got drawn, and it was a mess. So anyways, I had this Civic hybrid. My wife was not in the car with me. I had a gym membership at Berkshire Community College so I could use the gym after work. It was on the way home, and it was November, and it was in the middle of a cold spell. It wasn't just in the Berkshires. It was like 5 degrees out statewide. And this was 2000. November of 2006 or 7. And I am driving home, sweated up, wearing gym clothes, a pair of gym shorts and a t-shirt. And I didn't change. I didn't bring extra clothes. And I'm driving down Route 7. I remember this is how long ago this was. I had still had a flip phone, and I had answered a call from my brother. I had called him or whatever, and we were bullshitting.
Mm-hmm.
And the windows were up, the heat's on, and I'm driving, and there's it was a 2-lane road on my side, 2-lane road on the other, and there was a median in between. And I'm driving south. All of a sudden, from my side, the driver door window explodes. I thought some kid was hiding out and threw a brick or something through my window. I fucking went off the road. I screamed. I didn't know what the hell happened. I pull off and I'm adrenaline rushing, but I'm looking around like, okay, trying to assess the situation. I've got glass all over me and I'm looking around. There's no brick. There's no projectile. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I look in my rear view, not my side view because that was gone somewhere, but my rear view. And what do I see about 30, 40, 50 yards behind me struggling? A doe.
Oh, okay.
So a doe jumped the median and hit my window going, I was going probably 35 or 40, hit the window with its face and just exploded it into me. And thank God, whatever Honda makes for their impact for their windows worked because it smashed, but I was not a porcupine of glass. You know what I mean? It was safety glass. It crumpled and then gave. And I was like, whoa, what the hell just happened? So there's a couple punchlines to this story. Number one, I called the state police. I called the police, right, and said, "Hey," they said, "Well, where you're at, there's state police barracks right there. Give them a call." So I have a relative who's a trooper. I called him. He said, "Yeah, call the barracks. I know who's working. Ask for so and so." They came out. So because now I got family involved with this, right, and it's fun because nobody's hurt. The trooper comes like, "Hey, so and so's relative?" "Yes." "Okay. Where's the deer?" I said, "I don't know. The thing got up, struggled in the glass, jumped back over the median, went out of the woods. Maybe it's dead over there. I have no idea."
So how were you supposed to know?
Or it's got a concussion. Maybe it's in the blue tent under the protocols. I have no idea. Well, obviously, concussion protocols in the NFL weren't around at that time. I'm making a joke. But
exactly.
The cop then looks at me dead face and goes, "Look, we were promised a deer." Like they were going to eat it. I'm like, and I've done that once or twice myself where someone has told me like, "Hey, I got venison and it's roadkill." Well, okay, what happened to it? Well, look, we saw the deer get killed and we harvested it immediately. Okay, that's the 2 times I've eaten a roadkill deer. Well, this time he's like, "I'm just kidding." I'm like, holy shit. Like I got a state cop asking me, "Where's the deer? We were promised deer." I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's gone. I have no control. I'm sitting here freezing my ass off. So that was punchline number 1. Punchline number 2 was I now had an hour drive home in 5-degree weather with no window.
Oh my God.
Yes. Punchline number 3 to that story is that also happened with that same car under different circumstances where someone broke into my car in Worcester and was in process of stealing all my wheels after a concert. And I don't know what spooked them. They left, but the car was. You ever seen how people jack up a car when they're stealing shit? They'll bring a spare tire and put it under, right?
Gotcha.
These guys brought 2. When I called AAA and the cops, AAA arrived, and I told them I have a 4-lug rim. They, of course, went and got 4 tires off an Acura which had 5 or whatever it was. I had 4, they had 5, whatever it was.
Yep.
So now I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? I have no window. I have no wheels, right? And they're like, well, we can tow it. I'm like, well, no, that's not happening. I got to get home. And I had my buddy with me. Well, what happened was the car, the tires, the rims and tires, they had left underneath the car for a makeshift jack. They had the correct number of lugs, but those wheels were 2 inches bigger than what I had. So we put those on the rear. The 2 the 2 wheels that they didn't get, we left on the front. So basically I had this.
You were like this.
I had a jacked up racing Civic with no window for the ride home in, again, 5-degree weather in November, December, whatever it was. That was the first time. That was the first time I'd seen Anthrax and Testament, and that was an awesome show and ended poorly.
Oh, so I would say so. Dude,
so here's the follow-up, the final punchline to this show. or to this roadkill event. So when I got it evaluated, when I got that car home and really took a look at it.
Yep.
So here's what apparently happened. The deer jumped over the median. Its face or hooves went into my window and it's stuck. All right. So I am now still going forward. The
Pulling this deer.
No, got stuck just for I'm talking split second.
Gotcha.
Got stuck and the deer's body's momentum going that way stopped and then swung. So it smashed my whole front door and my whole back door and left God knows how much deer hair and all the handles. And then somehow this is where the Kennedy mystery bullet comes in, or the magic bullet comes in. Somehow my side view mirror on my front door ended up on my dashboard in the passenger side. So I don't know if the deer made the initial impact and then kicked the thing up and it somehow, got bounced off the deer, bounced off me, and then ended up on the dashboard. I have no idea. But bottom line, both doors had to be replaced. And I don't know if they ever even vacuumed all the glass out of the air conditioning system to this day. I have no idea, but ended up being $5,000. It sucked.
Holy crap.
Sucked ass. That poor car had 3 accidents. That was the third of them. No, that was the third of them. The first one, the week I bought it, tornado dropped in Iowa, but before it dropped in Iowa and Nebraska, we got hail the size of golf balls. So my car looked like a golf ball 3 weeks in. That was awesome.
I bet.
And that the second one was I was drilling up in New York for about a year. I was part of one of their guard units. And to get there, I didn't know, I was still active duty mindset of get to work. No one had called me and said, stay home.
Yeah, exactly.
So I drove through a snowstorm up the shears. And then I don't think that's the Catskills going up there. Whatever's on the other side of the Berkshires in New York. I was going through those mountains.
Yep.
The snow, I got ahead of the plows. And when I got ahead of the plows, I was going just a little too fast going downhill. My car did a 180 and I went into a guardrail backwards.
Fun times.
So that bent the frame. That was great. That was another $5,000. That
Oh
poor
my
car
God.
Fucked up. But that car was
Frankenstein the shit out of that car. That's crazy.
It's weather and acts of God. I can blame the golf balling of the hail primarily on the Offutt Air Force Base Park and Recs Department because they knew there were storms coming in and they still said softball was good that night. And I still went. It's their fault. I'm not taking blame for that.
Softball was good that night.
And then the turning around, that's my fault. The deer, I have no. It was at night.
That's the thing. You especially with like highway driving. Now, my deer story. I was driving what was this it was a later model, like late 90s model Chevy Cavalier. I don't know if you remember these cars, but they had a hood that kind of scooped down somewhat. Yes. So it was very, very low. And this was at a point where I was working at a local TV station that I worked for, and I was working master control third shift. And I would work, the shift was the weirdest shift. It was a weekend that I was there, and it was like I would go in for 2 a.m. and be there until sometime about 10 or 11 o'clock, something like that. No, because this was even earlier. It must have been an odd shift or something like that. But I was coming home in the morning after working all night long. And what I would do a lot of the times is I would take this kind of back way to cut back through your neck of the woods over through Holyoke, and then I would grab 202 to head up back. This is back when I was living in Belchertown. So I would grab 202 that way. And there's a little industrial park near any locals in Western Massachusetts will know what I'm talking about. It's near the Holyoke Mall. All right. And, the Holyoke Mall it's a mall. There's not a whole lot going there. And there was this one day, this one morning I'm there, and I can remember I have this big Ford Explorer behind me, just riding my ass. And there happens to be this spot. There's all these large buildings, and in between them, you'll either have, there's this one spot where there's just big empty field, but in between the lots, you have these ridges, these lines of trees that go and they kind of carve out the shape of the property. And I get to one of these sort of transition spots where these trees kind of come out, and like 4 deer just go and start walking right across in front of me. Now I'm probably doing about 30, 35, nothing crazy. But I'm coming along here, and all but one of the deer stops. And I have this car behind me, and I have this split second where I'm like, well, I'm either going to slam on my brakes, and I'm gonna end up eating it from this guy, or I'm going to hope this deer, try and swerve. So that's what I tried to do, was just kind of move out of the way. Nope, deer didn't stop at all. It's like he was just like, I'm already on the other side of the road. And because the front end of my car was so low, I basically took the son of a bitch's legs out.
Oh my God.
I took his legs right out, and he goes and falls forward. Now, this is so fresh in my mind because it all happened in like slow-mo. So he falls forward and starts sliding. This is a good-sized buck. Comes up and starts rolling up on the hood. The hood, I can hear it's crunching underneath him. And then he gets up on the glass. And this all happened in real time. It happened in like a second. I'd be dead. If he came through that glass, I'd be dead. He would have kicked the shit out of me. He comes up onto the glass, and it spider webs all over the place, but does hold its integrity. The hood is shot. He then proceeds to slide off of the driver's side panel into the middle of the road and is laying there on the side of the road. I go, and the guy behind me in the Explorer just guns it and cuts off to my left and takes off. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's just me and this deer, and I'm looking out the window, and as I look out the window to see if the deer is still there, there's no blood, nothing. There's just hair all over the hood, all over by my windshield wipers, my mirrors, everything, all over the place. And this deer gets up and looks at me, shakes it off, and keeps going.
Like mine. And you know what I've heard? Actually, one thing I did talk about with that state cop, and then down the road, my cousin, the next holiday I saw him, I think it was Christmas or Thanksgiving. He goes, you would not believe, like when we get a call, he goes, all you have to do at high traffic areas for deer is look in the woods right off, because a lot of them will get smacked. They'll have internal injuries. They'll get off the road and they'll just die.
They'll die once they get in the
nearest woods. Yeah. They'll just collapse, and that's that.
Happens a lot.
That's fucking, you're lucky, man. That's awful. Yeah. We're both lucky. Shit. Yeah.
The cop was like, when I called him there, he got there and he's like, this is crazy. He's like, I would never expect to see a deer at, this close to the mall. Like there's nothing, you would just never, ever expect it. But I mean, it just goes to show.
You know, what's funny. I think, did we talk about at any point that I've been a guest on the show or whatever, a co-host or whatever you want to call me? Have we talked about my bear incidents, plural?
No.
Okay. So it's not like super, I didn't hit any of them, but for years, with all the times I've been going up to shears, whatever, since high school, I never saw a bear until maybe 5 years ago.
Yep.
Never saw one. And then one day, I was driving up to shears, and there's part of the road on 57 where there's like sheer mountainside on one side, and then the other side's a drop. And the road's kind of like perched there, and a bear had run across the road. He was climbing the mountain, and I was like, oh, that's great. My first bear. That's awesome. And then I saw one, I got a call from one of my neighbors. Like, this is like that same year, I got a call from one of my neighbors. Hey, you got a juvenile bear in your backyard. And I did. I got pictures of them running through the backyard. I'm like, okay, there's 2. Then I'm driving to work when I worked over at Bradley, and it's early morning, and there's a new like little building a veterinarian put up on 75.
Yep.
And the sun was just coming up, so it wasn't pitch black. And there was a bear that had to have been 400 to 450 pounds. This thing was immense. One. And it was early spring. He probably just gotten out of hibernation, was looking for, whatever, either food or ass. When do they breed? In the fall or in the spring?
I'm not sure.
Whatever. He was out there looking for something. But he was going right through that parking lot, and nothing was stopping him. So a couple weeks later, in the woods right near that place, I was turning out of Bradley, out of the airport, and I actually pulled over and yelled at him, "Stay on the goddamn road!" Laid on the horn just to be an idiot. And I always honk at deer just to keep, so they know there's a road,
Yep.
So bears everywhere, and I'd never seen them before. Whatever it was, 5 years ago.
I had one bear run in recently.
Yeah.
Just like,
How'd it go?
driving through, it was actually, was it around, I think it was around my daughter's birthday. And my wife had asked me to go. I remember she sent me to the bakery for one reason or another. Like she was like, oh, we need cake. So I'm guessing I'm going to call it my daughter's birthday. So I go down to the bakery and I decide I'm going to take the back roads, the same back roads where this deer incident happened, actually. A little bit further away, not in the industrial park. I'm going through this one neighborhood in West Springfield, and there is, this bear had to go 300, 350 pounds, like big size bear. And it was a nice spring day. Like I had the windows down. I had Fear cranked up. I'm listening to it, singing along. A great, like awesome day, and I'm like, it was also just like my head was in a weird space too, because this was very early into whole, like everything was shut down. My business had gone to shit. Like this is pre-Jigs and Bigs, Yeah. And I'm driving along and I see this bear, and there was a car in front of me who had slowed, and then as soon as this bear crossed over the yellow line, he just gunned it and took off. And I kind of slowed to go by it, and I could see, like, you just get this close, you're like, holy crap. But what was amazing was when he crossed over to the other side of the street, there was a driveway and a line of trees and then another family's front yard. He starts hauling up that hill into that yard. And there was a family like out on the porch, like maybe they were doing yard work or something. And I could hear them go like, holy Christ, get in the house. It was just unbelievable. I laughed so hard. It was great. Hopefully they're okay and the bear is fine. Yeah. But, hey, it's all good.
So just to dispel I think a common misconception, for those of you that don't live in the Northeast in America, man, we got plenty of woods up here. It's not like it's like city as long as you can go. Actually, to be quite honest, having been out in the Midwest and lived out there, our cities are compact. Yeah, like very, very, very compact. Like compared to Midwest cities, like it takes 45 minutes to drive across Omaha. I mean, it's nuts.
I believe it.
But if there were, and that's with no traffic. If there's no traffic in Boston, I mean, you can go to, from the seashore or from the ocean, from the bay to like Natick in 30 minutes, right? Yeah. 20 minutes. I mean, you're Boston's compact.
In comparison, that's the way a lot of our cities are, and especially when you get into like Western Massachusetts, you look at like the urban areas that we do have. You're a 20-minute ride from being in the woods.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even I'm in the suburbs. Yep. We've got, and this is another misconception. Connecticut, Northern Connecticut's got a ton of farmland. Not many people know that with all the tobacco fields and shit. And there's plenty of woods and plenty of fields, and there's deer. We got plenty of black bear. Yep. Fishers. I know they're called fisher cats, but they're giant weasels. Everyone thinks they're freaking cats. I always try to dispel that too. But you ever seen one?
Oh yeah. You ever heard one? Scare the shit out of you.
It sounds like somebody. It sounds like a child being stabbed. Yep. It's the worst noise in the world.
Yeah, you're like, what the hell is that sound?
Yeah, it's awful. Baboon being stabbed. That's more appropriate. But yeah, I mean, we have all these animals. One thing that drives me kind of nuts around here, and especially living on a pond, is that every body of water, compared to like the Industrial Revolution and prior, when they were just hunted to extinction out here. Yep. Every body of water has like nuisance beaver in it. So we get them sometimes in our lake, and we just got to try and get them out of there peacefully and just make them realize this isn't a good place to live.
It's not your spot,
because getting permits and stuff is kind of a pain in the ass, and you got to get a trapper and this and that, and they got to do it humanely. But I remember on the roadkill theme, my parents living so close to the river and with a main road right there on in Chicopee, there was one time actually you'll know where this is, right by the former location of Annie's.
Oh yes,
the bar.
Yeah,
which has long since
there's a lot
been
of
knocked down.
Sloppy beaver that gets thrown around over there.
Wow, I'm not arguing with that. So Annie's has had a volleyball pit for years, and right next to that was a little bit of a marshland. Once Annie's got knocked down, I guess apparently the beavers that were living in the Chicopee River decided they wanted, whether it was food or whatever, because they eat plant life, they wanted to get over there, and one of them got whacked by a car. So Chicopee didn't clean it up. The DPW never got there, and it was the middle of summer. So you can imagine what's happening. So my dad one day, and I think this was when I was living temporarily at home in between, like going to a military school. I think when I got out of active duty, I was going to military, another tech school. Yep. He came home one day, and this beaver now, it's like day 3 or day 4, and this thing is just swelling from the gases, and now it's like Now it's like the size of a fucking beach ball. This thing is disgusting with a tail, and it just stinks, and there's hornets and wasps all over it and flies. And every time you drive by, and like 20 feet later, you go, oh, what is that rotting smell? And my dad goes, finally, we were sitting outside, and he goes, what in God's name is that down the road? I go, that's a beaver. He goes, it's the size of a beach ball. It's huge. I go, yeah, it's a gas. I go, it's going to burst. It's going to be real bad. And then like a day later, it was a skeleton with skin hanging on it, and the smell got worse. It was horrible. If there's, I'd imagine that's what the smell of hell is rotting beaver in the summer. It's just disgusting.
I believe it.
So, yeah, there you go. I can't think of any other good roadkill stories.
What a weird show this is.
Well, I didn't get out and fish this week, so I gotta.
Hey, we gotta
go in different directions.
Some kind of content, anyway.
Oh, and especially if we want to start talking about other outdoor things in the future. Well, let's start with dead animals. Why? Prevention, experiences, all these different roadkill.
So I'm going to throw out a little call today. Yeah, I'm going to throw out a little call to action to our listeners. If you have an interesting roadkill story, feel free to share it with us over at jigsandbigs413@gmail.com or visit jigsandbigs.com. Use the contact form. You can send us your roadkill stories if you have any. And see this. That's the thing, Nick. Look at what you spurred. This conversation literally came from that message where he's like, "Holy crap! I just hit a deer. Are you okay? We're gonna run with this." That's the extent of it. So,
what did Nick earn out of this? A nickname, Roadkill Nick.
Roadkill Nick. Yeah, 100%. Nice job. Nice job. Hang on.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, there you go. Roadkill Nick has done it.
Do we have anything else to go over on the list of, of stuff?
Yeah, the only thing I could crowbar in that I missed my opportunity was I made all sorts of omelets for 3 days out of my Thanksgiving leftovers.
Yeah.
Do you eat a lot of omelets? I know you've eaten breakfast with me. You know that I tend to order the omelets from Mrs. Mitchell's. I love their omelets.
I like to mix it up. I mean, whether it's an omelet or a scramble, I'm big on the egg dishes for breakfast, period. So, I mean, yeah, I'm a big pepper and eggs guy. That's me. That's what I like.
Okay. No, that works. That works. You know what I've had? You know what I've actually been making for a real simple dish? It's simple, but it takes a little bit of time because of one of the ingredients. But I got a recipe online for a simple fried sweet potatoes. So you cut up sweet potatoes into cubes, and then you just fry them, and you put some salt on them. That's it. And then you put a peppered egg on top with the yolk unbroken. That's it. And cut it up so the yolk breaks all over those. Oh my God.
That's what you want. That's all you ever want. Did I ever tell you about the burger that was named in my honor at a local barbecue joint?
Vaguely, I think I remember this, but no, tell me, because the listeners don't know. I could use a refresher.
So there was a barbecue joint that I used to host trivia at called Damn Yankee's Barbecue. And Damn Yankee is, killer menu. Probably some of the best brisket I've ever had up in this area. I would say you're a barbecue guy, right?
I do enjoy barbecue, yes. It's one of the few things that I can eat, yes.
BT, you ever been to BT's Smokehouse in Sturbridge?
No.
Okay.
I've not.
So that's my measure. Like that is to me as good as good Q can be is BT's. Like it's just dynamite. It's so good. And I would say that Damn Yankee was a close second. It definitely, it was worth the effort. But Rich, who was the owner of Damn Yankee's Barbecue, he and I were talking one night after trivia, and he was like, you know what? He's like, we should do some cool like menu item or something like that. I was like, how about a Bobby roast beef sandwich or something like that? And he's like, you know what if we did a Bobby roast beef burger? So we got to thinking, and what he wanted to do is he wanted to smoke in-house their own pastrami. So what he did was a burger with two types of cheese. I think one was either a Swiss or a Gouda, and the other one was a cheddar. And then there was like some type of a maple infused like aioli. There was
that's good shit.
There was a pastrami that was house smoked that was on it because we had toyed around with the idea of doing different things other than the obvious to throw on is bacon, and he did that with a quail egg on a pretzel bun. And
holy shit, that sounds phenomenal.
It was amazing. Like it brought a tear to my eye. It was so good. It was so good.
Wow.
So yeah, he would run this, it ran for like a few weeks and people would come in and be like, I got to try this. Holy shit, that's amazing. So unbelievable.
Wow.
I'm trying to get the other burger joint there, Plan B, to do a burger contest.
I love one of the things when I first tried Plan B when they moved in. Now Plan B, everyone's laughing knowing that Plan B is the pregnancy pill. But we have a chain of burgers up here in the Northeast. It's in Madison, Connecticut, called Plan B, and they are phenomenal. They're really, really gourmet burgers. And the thing that drew me in when I first started eating there was they had do you remember their burger called the New Englander?
Oh yeah.
So it was I believe it was bison with a lobster claw and Gouda cheese on top. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. But that's been gone from the menu for like 2 or 3 years. So
oh yeah, they mix
anymore.
it up a whole lot over there. They don't play around.
Getting back to omelets though,
yes.
my whole thing with an omelet, I treat an omelet like a blank
canvas,
like a blank canvas. Yeah. You can do where do you want to go? Where do you want to go today with your omelet? I have put everything on omelets. Yeah, exactly. So my Thanksgiving leftovers, the omelet I made 2 days in a row was obviously I said we had chicken. We don't buy a whole turkey because there's only 4 of us eating, so we just buy a whole chicken. And who cares? I eat turkey throughout the year. It doesn't matter. So we buy the chicken. I had the chicken. So like a base layer. Well, you got to put cheese on an omelet. Obviously, I'm a cheese with omelet guy. I've seen omelets that don't make cheese. You don't have cheese. I don't. Sure. That seems sacrilegious to me, but I put cheese in my omelet. So what I always do is just to make sure I can taste it with all this mix of flavors, I threw on an extra sharp cheddar.
There you go.
So I layered that down, let it melt a little bit, smashed down some mashed potatoes, a little bit of stuffing on that. I threw corn on there. I threw the chicken, pieces of chicken breast, and then I had that macaroni and cheese, which you tried.
Yes,
and you said
that was
cheesy.
dynamite.
I threw that macaroni and cheese down. Now I apologize. I realized afterwards, even though it does get a little dry when you take it out of the crock pot, so I microwaved, so it was dry. I apologize. Usually, if I really want to get cute when I recook that on the whole thing, and then just a little bit because it's powerful. I threw down some cranberry sauce, wrapped that omelet up, and sucked it down.
Oh, really? Okay, a little cranberry.
I like my sweet and salty. It was good stuff.
That you enjoy that umami experience. I
don't know that word, but it sounds like I do.
That's basically what it is. It's like sweet and salty. It's like those two things together. Yeah. No, that sounds awesome, man. That sounds awesome. There are people who are really creeped out about eating chickens and eggs together in the same dish. Have you ever met one of those people?
No.
Okay.
No, I did not know that existed. I didn't know that was a thing. There
are some people who are really creeped out about that. They're like, oh yeah, like it's so weird to eat chicken like in an egg dish. And I'm like, well, if you're breading, if you're frying chicken, it's going in an egg wash anyway. And it's like, it's kind of the same idea. But there are people who are really weird about that. I don't know. It's just bizarre.
How does it extend into like beef products? So you can't have like a glass of milk with a steak, or you can't have
cheese on a burger?
Cheese on a burger. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it does. I think it's just the chicken and egg thing. It was only brought to my attention a couple of times, and I was like, what are you talking about? It was just kind of one of those weird things, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's like
I've never heard of that. That's
a tiny little subset of people that are just like, that's the weirdest thing. And I'm like, okay. What it is?
I know. I had no problem. They were delicious the other day. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. They were great.
So let's go ahead and transition over to our interview segment here. We've got a really, really good one we've got Jason Gardner with us. He is the tour director for Maine Yak Anglers, which if you say it fast, it sounds like you're saying Maniac Anglers. And I think that's kind of the idea. But we have a really, really good conversation. We get into some of the stuff. He listens to the show, was definitely prepared with some good answers. Great, great, great stuff from Jason. And I think we're probably going to be able to get up and fish with him sometime soon, or sometime next spring. Probably not sometime soon.
Continuing on the theme of other anglers who have kicked my ass in a knockout tournament, we now have up Jason.
It's a pretty good interview. I think you guys will really, really enjoy it. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back and do the outro after the interview's all set up. And one more big congratulations to Chris, the winner of our giveaway for November. We're going to get those prizes out to you. We'll contact you. I did just send him a DM, so I'm expecting to hear back from him anytime. And we'll post all this stuff congratulating him, all right? So we'll see you guys in a bit.
Whoa.
We have stuff?
Give Chris a round of applause. We didn't get it before.
You're right.
We were too busy chastising the people who don't read rules. Sorry, Chris. We stole your thunder on this, man. Now you get your applause.
Chris,
ready?
Good job, Chris. Excellent job.
And begin. Sir.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, hey, this was definitely a show. Definitely a show.
We'll have more fishing information next week. I'm planning on getting out this weekend, so we'll have some shit. And no ice yet. Not even up to shears. Berkshire Brett has been very good about passing along information. We're in like that hell of no ice. So
super cold.
We'll get
water.
more info.
Yeah, and now with that rain, that water's just going to get colder.
Yep.
All righty. Well, we'll see you guys on the other side of this interview. All right. Hey everybody, Bobby Roast Beef here. You know, it's no big secret that Christmas is just a few weeks away. And, you know, even though 2020 has been a ridiculous year for a lot of us, it's just been crazy ups and downs. It's still kind of hard to believe that there's kids out there that may wake up Christmas morning and have nothing under the tree to open. So we have been lucky enough to join forces with Damien over at Stretching Lines Anglers Gear, who wanted to put together a Toys for Tots giveaway contest fundraiser to kind of do our part.
Pretty much what I was thinking was, a giveaway. That's when I was like, all right, well, I'll get a hold of everybody else that we normally work with for giveaways, where we got with it. I know firsthand the feeling that some of these kids had. I was probably, 7, 8. My parents both worked. They worked a lot. They just made it ends meet.
Tell me about how the giveaway and the contest works for everybody else. What does somebody have to do to enter?
What I've come up with is your standard giveaway. So you got your like, your comment, your share that you do on your Instagram. You have to like every sponsors that we have.
Yep,
so
follow every single one of the pages.
Them. The other thing is your comment, you tag 3 people. The biggest thing that we're looking for is that you go to Toys for Tots, the website, and there's two different things you can do. First thing is you can go in, you can actually pick toys out. They have a donation thing where you can go in and you can buy whatever toys you want, or you can donate just money. Once you do that, you take a picture of the receipt and you send it Stretching Lines Anglers Gear on Instagram. The other thing that goes along with this is you have a chance to put your name in more than once. With every $10 you donate, your name gets added to the spin wheel one more time. That's the plus side to this. The more money you donate, the more chances you have to win.
The more chances you have to win. So that's important, folks. Now, we're going to go ahead and do something a little extra to help out if anybody's looking to make donations. We're actually going to put a Toys for Tots logo on the Jigs and Bigs website. You can go right over there and click there to make a donation. We're going to use the link that Damien provided right there. So all you got to do after you do all this, if you go to jigsandbigs.com, you can go right on the website, click on that, and then you'll have basically a donate button right there. You can go ahead and set that up. And then just make sure you to DM your confirmation email to Damien over at Stretching Lines Anglers Gear, which works out perfect since you're going to be following all those accounts as if you already aren't. You need to be. So go ahead and send him that DM. We'll go and get everything. And the drawing is going to be, was it the 21st?
The 21st is the deadline.
21st is the deadline.
That's when we're doing the draw.
Well, hey, that sounds really fantastic, Damien. I think you're doing a really great thing. We're definitely behind you. Jigs and Bigs is definitely behind you with this. We're at least in for one of our limited edition jig kits, at least. We'll see what else we can put together for you, all right?
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
Happy holidays, buddy, and have yourself a good one. All right, everybody, it's interview time. Bobby Roast Beef here, and in the beef seat today, guys, I've got Jason Gardner with us. And Jason, well, he represents a little organization, a KBF organization, Maine Yak Anglers. And guess what? They can be found in the great state of Maine, up to our north here in Massachusetts, as we like to call the place we all go to vacation. Absolutely. That's just the way it is. Jason, how you doing, buddy?
Not bad. Yourself?
I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there. You know, it's been a long holiday weekend. I got a message from our mutual friend Sean the Fisherman, and he asked me about recording the intro and outro at 9 a.m. This is like first thing this morning, I think 7 a.m. And I said, yeah, on Monday, right? You do realize today's only Sunday. And he's like, no, I'm prepping for my week. It's okay. So he's really on the ball. I am not. We'll deal with it and get there. How was your Thanksgiving?
It wasn't bad. Growing up, Thanksgiving was always, big family get-togethers and stuff like that. And it sucks over the last few years. It's kind of gotten away with that as people kind of, grown up and moved away, and and the elder statesmen of the family have kind of passed on. So, and then with the COVID thing this year, it was literally just me, my wife, and my son, and we just kind of relaxed. So, as much as I hated not having the whole family thing, it wasn't bad. It was nice to not really have anything to do. I didn't even get dressed all day.
Yeah,
I stayed in my pajamas. So.
That's not a bad thing. I said I had to work Friday night. I was hosting a game show Friday night, and
nice.
I was talking with the owner of the restaurant, and she said, "Oh, so how was Thanksgiving?" And I was like, I think there was only six of us and the dogs. And I said, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
it's like
it really wasn't bad, man.
It could have been much worse. I was like, it was kind of nice to not have to cook for an army and have to have a bunch of people over. It was kind of nice. So we got together with my folks. It was a good time. So hey, it's all behind us, and now apparently Christmas is tomorrow. Apparently, I guess that's the thing. At least from my house, that's how it feels. Oh my god!
Yeah, no, it's like 4 more weeks. I got to start shopping.
No, you're not kidding, man. It's crazy. It is bananas. Although I am very happy. My wife and I did decide that this year we are done buying for each other. We're grown ass adults. We can buy our own gifts whenever we want, which is nice because now I can get the fishing gear I really want.
Yeah, and we do that anyway, although we usually end up both still sneaking a gift or two under the tree, but it's just the expectation wise, right?
Exactly.
Get each other something small. And other than that, I mean, I got a 24-year-old daughter now in Arkansas. So, we usually get her a couple of things and ship it, but it's different, because we're not there. She ends up getting stuff Amazon. It's not wrapped, and
it's not as personal.
It's just different.
Yep.
Right. And but for my son, he's 16, and as my last child and getting ready to move out of the house, man, I think it means more to my wife and I than it almost does to him, because we're like, it's like there's only a couple more years left, and he could technically move away, and then it's just her and I. So we're trying to concentrate on the kids.
Oh yeah, no. I think that's the way you got to go. So let's jump right into this and talk a little bit about the outdoors, about your experiences, all that stuff. But to get started, the question I always start out with is I want to know about how you discovered fishing and just the outdoors in general. Like, how was it introduced into your life, and then how did that passion start to grow to the point now where you're running the trail for KBF in Maine? Like, how did that road kind of look?
So, it was weird because there was a long hiatus in between, but it really all started when I was young. My whole family was outdoors people, right? And hunted and fished recreationally and and whatnot, but less on the fishing and more on the hunting side. And, but I think when I was in probably around elementary school, my dad, we had mutual friends of the family that had a camp on Damrascotta Lake up here, which is a huge lake. It's it's beautiful, great fishing, and so they decided they were going to start renting it out in the summer because they couldn't use it as much. So they actually rented it to us dirt cheap. I think we'd rent it for like $150 for the week, right?
Really?
I mean, unheard of, right? And that came with a 14-foot V hull with a I don't know, probably a 5 horsepower motor. I mean, it was nothing special. I mean, it'd take us an hour to get to the other end of the lake.
Yeah.
But we'd fish and all around the cove that we were in, it was all typically we'd catch white perch and eat them. And then we'd also like to bass fish for the sport, right? We could catch some nice 4-pounders right off the dock where we were. And,
oh, yeah.
And so that really started it, right? And it was just usually those 2 weeks is all we'd really fish each year, but we all loved it. And then as I got older in my teens, I really started hunting, and then in my early 20s, I just kind of got away from all of it, and ended up moving to Florida, and for 9 years, came back to Maine, was here a few years, and I have a real stressful job. And my wife one day just said, "You got to find a hobby." And I was like, "Man, what do I do? What do grown adults do for hobbies?" And so I started getting into hunting a little bit again, and then a buddy of mine in Tennessee, Jason Burden, who I actually went to high school and college with, he's like, "Man," he's like, "You should see it down here in Tennessee." He's like, "Everyone's like buying kayaks and fishing out of them." And I'm like, "What?" And he started sending me links to these kayaks, and I was like, "Man, like that's fairly inexpensive." I think my first kayak was a Seaghost, a Vibe Seaghost, and bought one of those. And right across the street from my house is Androscoggin River, and I started going out in there and catching some smallmouth, and just really just fell back in love with fishing. And a month or so later, found Sam Cushing, who was running a trail for any bassin up here, and reached out to him and started jumping into tournaments. Fished 3 that year, and it was terrible. I mean, my first ever event, I show up, I flip my kayak. 4 events, I caught 4 total fish, and but I just having a ball, and I truly loved it and didn't care how poorly I was doing. And then built up friendship, and from there we kind of left any bassin. We just had different things, right? Any bassin up in the Northeast, they have small boats and kayaks. We wanted to be kayak only. We wanted to use Tourney X. They weren't doing that. It was just a bunch of small little things. And I, I didn't care either way, but once I took it over from Sam, he was going for his doctorate. I took that over, I left it up to the guys, and I was like, you want to stay or go? And they said, let's do our own thing. So, we started Maniac Anglers, and, even though I'm the face of it, it's really their trail. We put everything up for vote. It's not like not like a dictatorship where I just come out with the rules. We get focus groups together, and of senior and newer guys say, hey, what do you guys want to do this year? And as we're trying to fine tune it to come up with the perfect thing. And, but that's the whole Maniac Angler side. The KBF side, just started from I think me kind of pestering Chad a little bit. I met him once down in Toledo Bend, and, I was talking about how we're growing and how things are happening. We'd love to have an event someday. And he's like, gave me his number, and probably thinking, I'm never going to go up there, never do anything, or, this guy's probably a lunatic. But he gave it to me, and, I don't think he realized how much I was going to pester him at first. And, I kept talking and staying in touch, and, he put me in touch with Christy, and we just kind of built that relationship. And, finally they gave Maine a chance to bring an event. And, it was, God, I don't know, 3 years ago now. And we had like 40 people at that event, which doesn't sound like a lot, but, and it isn't a lot these days, but at the time it was the biggest event we ever had in the state. And I think maybe one of the biggest ones in New England. And, from then on, it's just grew and grew, and, I got to know them more and more. And now, I'm the national tournament coordinator for KBF. And,
awesome.
I just love the sport, love promoting it.
And that's the thing. This is like, it's so primitive in nature, kayak fishing. Like it's something that indigenous people have been doing. I mean, not with, low profile bait casting reels and extra wide gap hooks and things like that. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's so like close to nature. Like you're sitting on top of the water. You're going as fast as your body and the tools that you put into the boat with you are moving you. I love, there's a video that Chad put out about stealth. And I mean, like, it's everything, and it's a whole new kind of sport in a way of competing. And it's just growing. It's amazing that something so primitive can be in its infancy. Like the way I see kayak angling, especially because of the accessibility, like you nailed it, the cost to get in, like that gateway in order to get in for kayak fishing is so much less than if you're getting into a big boat or anything like that. You want to tournament fish that way. So
exactly.
Yeah, and Maine, it's a no-brainer. Like every New Englander I know, we all talk about the same thing. Mass, Connecticut, Rhode Island, even in New Hampshire and Vermont, everybody wants to go fish the lakes in Maine. Yeah,
it really is some of the best bass fishing around here, but people don't, because we're so far away, people kind of dismiss it. And MLF comes here, there's big events that they hold up here. Bass was trying to host an event here last year, and their fee was a little bit too high, and that, to be honest with you, that's what allowed us to get a KBF. It was supposed to be the regional championship, then they moved it to the Super Trail.
Mm-hmm.
But I was working with the tourism bureaus, the Maine Sportsman's Commission, the state, the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. I mean, they were so excited to have that event here, and then COVID took over, and it kind of changed it, but we still had almost 70 people, and for all the people that didn't want to come here, and those, compared to those that did, everyone, when they were leaving, man, they said, we want to come back, right? And this was, Messalonsky is and it was there in Great Pond, are both great fisheries, but they're not even the best. I mean, they're close. Great Pond is probably the best smallie fishing place in the state, but China Lake's close by, and
takes note.
That's got both, and Weber Pond is like, I mean, that place is just lights out. But it's getting a little overfished since they made Bassmaster list. But I mean, that place is. I mean, there's 5 to 9 pounders in there. You just got to find them. And for this state, I mean, that's enormous. I mean, you catch an 8-9 pounder, and you'll likely never beat that PB here.
Oh yeah, that's unbelievable. Let's talk about your specifics though for when you're out there fishing. What's your favorite season for like creature comfort? Like not just because like the way they're feeding up or anything like that, but for you, what's the most comfortable time to be out there fishing?
I really like end of May, end of May to early June.
Yep.
I'm terrible at cold water, although I'm getting better at it. But I really like that. Our winters here are so dark and dreary and miserable. There's, and cold. And then, you start getting excited around March when the things start to thaw. And then April, you can usually get out, and, unless you're a pro with a jerkbait, you're not really finding many fish. But then usually by early May to mid-May, the fishing picks up, and you're out wearing shorts, and, even at that point, it's just the nature part of it too. You'll see that a lot of places we go, there's a ton of eagles up here. You'll watch eagles flying around. And I had a video last year on Weber in mid-May when I was out there, and I was fishing off a point, and I looked up, and there were literally 5 bald eagles just circling around, crappie fishing. And I just ended up stopping fishing and just taking the video. And so, that time of year is just, there's something about it for me.
Yeah, it is a pretty awesome time of the year. And I think that's the defining mark. Like once you can like lose a layer and go out and enjoy fishing, that's not a bad thing. Definitely.
Right.
As far as like weather conditions, is there anything out there that'll make you decide to call it? I mean, aside from the obvious, like, lightning or anything like that.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I don't prefer the bitter cold, right? I mean, I don't know what it is. As I've gotten older, my feet get real sensitive. So once my feet get wet or cold, I'm done.
Yep.
And, so I'm trying to get to the point where I bring like hot hands, and I'll shove them in shoes, and bring wool socks, like 2 pair of wool socks. I'll put one on, one with hot hands in it, and then over the other pair to keep my feet warm.
Yep.
But I'll still go out there all day, and, fishing in the rain, man, I love that. I've caught some of my biggest and best fish out in the rain. And so, there really isn't a whole lot that'll keep me off the water.
That's awesome. As far as bodies of water that go, what are you more looking for? Are you looking for like lakes and ponds, or are you more comfortable in current?
Definitely not current, although I fish it out in front of my house a little bit. That's more for just getting out after work. I mean, there's something about fishing lakes and ponds. I like picking an area, picking stuff apart, and, focusing in on an area. And when you're having to fight current, especially in a kayak, you spend more time trying to make adjustments of the kayak, and you get a lot less time to actually fish.
Yeah. And the current can change things. I mean, it's really like it. I do think it does take a special kind of angler, somebody who's really dedicated themselves to it. When you find somebody who can break down rivers and they kind of just get it, that's absolutely amazing. Now, this is a question that's kind of gotten a little bit popular amongst most guests, and some guests actually will think in advance of some of these answers. So there's an old saying that fishing tackle will catch more fishermen than it will actually catch fish. In your lifetime in the outdoors, what do you think is the most ridiculous fishing tackle trend that's occurred? And the follow-up is, have you been guilty of using that yourself?
Man, I don't know, man. I think when it comes to bass, I mean, a buddy of mine has basically said, you can catch bass with a golf ball with a treble hook attached to it, right? I mean, they do tend to eat just about anything, right? So, one of the things that, and it's not really tackle, more gear related, that I don't know how much of a difference it really makes, is more fishing line. Like, I think back in the day before, braid came out and fluorocarbon, we'd just go to Walmart and buy that huge spool of, shitty mono for $6, right? And we were out there catching fish all day.
Yep.
Now you got fluorocarbon and braid and copolymer and all this other stuff, that people are using for different. I throw all that crap aside. I throw straight fluoro for everything, and I still catch fish. I don't have any issues. Am I missing fish because of line? Maybe, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it really plays that much of a big deal.
Yeah.
And even light line, like, I started drop shotting and throwing Ned rigs last year, and people are like, "Oh, you need to use like 6-pound tests." I'm throwing 15-pound tests.
I'm the same way.
Fluorocarbon. I'm still catching fish. I caught actually my biggest fish of the year this year.
Yep.
On 17-pound fluorocarbon with a Ned rig on a bait caster, right? Against everything that everyone says you have to do. So
yeah,
I'd probably say that's the, my biggest farce, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, I could definitely see that. Especially like you nailed it. I think the key word there, copolymer. Like, there's no reason. There's just no reason to throw copolymer line, in my opinion, anyway. I mean,
right.
I know that the stuff is cheap as hell, so it's got that going for it.
Right.
I love this question. A lot of people have this actually came from other listeners suggesting this question to me, and I kind of love it because to me, fishing is more about the experience. Whatever it is with the stories you take away off the water. Whether they may not even involve the fish. Sometimes it's more about the people that you're with. So, give me your top 3 people that you would really, really want to fish with, and they can be living or dead.
Man, that's a tough one. I'd probably really like to go out fishing with my brother, first of all. He lives in Arkansas as well, same area where my daughter does. And, I don't think I've, other than a charter we went on once, probably 10 years ago, saltwater fishing, I don't think I've actually gone fishing with my brother in probably close to 30 years or so. And, he really enjoys it. He's probably one of my bigger supporters.
That's awesome.
He'd be probably first and foremost. Second, I'd probably say the G-Man. There's something about that guy, man. I love listening to Swindell. Just listening to him talk. I mean, I'm not I hate watching fishing on TV, so I don't. Yeah. It's just not my style. I don't.
Rather
never
be
do
out
it.
there doing it. Yeah.
But it's the personality behind it, right? The guy just has fun, and that's what I want to do when I fish. And so I'd say probably him number 2, and then number 3. I'll pick somebody out of the kayak world. And I'd probably say Henry Vigian. That guy is, I don't know. I got a lot of respect for that guy. I remember before I really actually got to know him, I sent him a message once and, hoping his phone was off. And because it was, my time, it was probably 5:00 in the morning. Yep. So, and I sent him, just sent him a message through Facebook, like, he'll get it whenever. And literally like, at 5:30, he's like, "Dude, can you take a phone call?" I'm like, "Yeah, really? No problem."
That's awesome.
So he's like, "Yeah, I'm up early anyway." So 5:30 in the morning, right? He's calling me at my house, and I probably talked to him for an hour and a half. And
no kidding.
Yeah, and he's, and still we reach out and talk to each other from time to time. I think I talked to him, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. But I keep trying to set up a trip to go down to either Virginia or North Carolina and try to fish with Henry and Casey Reed and Corey Dreyer. Trying to get the 3 of us just to go out for a weekend and fish. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's probably on the docket at some point. One of those things you just kind of have going on. Where would you like to see your fishing goals kind of be in like the next 5 to 10 years? Yours personally, or even with Maniac Angler, like where would you like to see that sort of grow to?
Yeah, so. Maniac Anglers, I'll start with that one first. I'm more comfortable talking about other people than I am myself, so we'll go there. So as far as the club goes, I'd say in 5 years from now, I think what I'd really like to see is, and we're starting it a little bit this year, we're trying to break off. Our club's growing so much that we're going to have like a north or west and then a south or east division, if you want to call it. And because we're getting so many members, and, I really want to see it get to the point where, because we have so many talented people, but most of them have young families, so they can't travel. But I want to see those guys be able to come and travel a little bit more and fish some major events because, I am far from the best angler in our fishing in our trail, and there's some guys out there that, that I look at when I go out going, man, I got to try to beat that guy, right? He's the guy to beat at this body of water. And I'd love to see some of those guys fish on a national level just so they can see that they can compete, right?
Yep.
So they can believe in themselves like I believe in them and know that they can go out there and do well. So, that's really my goal for the club is to get some of those guys recognized nationally or even in the region. As far as myself goes, it's a tough one, right? I really want to win an event and a big event. I've got third place finishes in a KBF event. And then I think I was 7th or 8th at East West, a couple of years ago. But I've never been able to break through for that big win. I mean, I win here in my home state. I've won in Massachusetts,
Nice.
Fished, won a Ken series and won that. And, but when I travel, man, there's something, I think it's just pressure I put on myself, but I really want to get like some sort of, a signature win. Why wouldn't you want to, right?
Yeah.
It's all part of competing. And, but I would say that longer goal though is, I don't know. I really just want to see the sport where it gets to the point where all the different trails really aren't competing against each other. Right. And that we're really truly working together to, right. There's not that this trail's better than this one, or this leader's better than this one, or this guy sucks. And, and all that drama, right. It's not good for the sport. And it just kind of makes us look more like the bass boat guys who really do have kind of those strifes between clubs. And, it would be nice if, at some point, think of getting like the bass people, right? Get there, maybe top 10 in bass, the top 10 in Hobie, and the top 10 in KBF, all the fish for one really, U.S. championship type of thing, right?
Huge.
And just have it be like, more, not really about the competition, but have it be fun where it's truly everyone just kind of getting along and working together. And, that's really where we need to take the sport, at that next level.
Oh, absolutely. And I think in time we'll probably see that get there.
I think so. I think
so.
People are starting to put the barriers down and starting to work together, right? I mean, I'm sure there's still some overlining issues, right, of trust between all three of trails, right? You never want to release too much info and don't know what to believe, but it'd be nice if everyone would just end up working together.
Yeah. Oh no, I hear you. Jason? What's your number one confidence bait, and how did it become that for you?
Man, I don't know if I have one anymore, but it used to be a Senko, man. I mean, everyone used to think I'd catch every fish on a Senko, and one year I probably did catch 75% of my fish wacky rigging Senkos, and I throw them anywhere, man. I throw them in 20 feet of water, throw them in 10 feet, throw them in thick mats. I mean, it just didn't matter, and I was just catching fish. And last year I spent a good part of the year learning new bait and trying to get confident with it. And I'd probably say my top 3 confidence baits now are really spinnerbait, jackhammers.
Okay.
And I'm really starting to get there with a Ned rig. And I don't think I even threw a Senko the last 2 or 3 months of the season this year.
Kidding.
But those other 3 baits, man, I always have them tied on. Always.
Oh yeah. It's that's the thing. I mean, you something always happens with one bait, and you sort of get hooked, and you start to kind of like believe a little bit more in that bait, in that presentation. You get a little bit of confidence, and it goes a long way. But like, I'm with you, man. For me, it's always been this order. I've always had this saying I've heard a few years ago. I heard it, and it was always the saying was follow with a jig. So that's how I built the confidence in using a jig. Once I started to get confidence with that, I wanted to always have a jig lined up. So if I'm moving a chatterbait and I miss something, I can throw a jig and work that spot. But I created another line after that was follow with a Senko. Because if they miss that jig, I want to take my weightless Senko and pop it over there and see what happens. They do. They just get bit, Yeah.
And I'm more of when it comes to my confidence bait, I'm more of a brand guy, which is weird, right? With that spinnerbait, there's really 2 that I use. One is like made by actually a Massachusetts Rocky Ledge Tackle. I use one of their spinnerbaits. It's a tournament spinnerbait. It's actually a gold color. I think they call it like gold shiner or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But I do really well with that one. And then there's a guy who makes baits. Battle Baits is the name of their company, and the guy makes. I mean, man, you go to that Facebook page or his website, and
Yep.
I mean, his work is incredible. And I had one day where he had like a limited run of spinnerbait, and I think I bought like 5 of them. And my first day out this year with one of those spinnerbaits, I think I boated 25 largemouth in the day with that spinnerbait. And
That's
so now,
not a
like,
bad day.
yeah, there's 2 colors and 2 spinnerbaits I throw.
Yep.
Or 3 colors actually. With chatterbaits, I can only catch fish on jackhammers. I've tried every other company out there, and I cannot catch fish on them. But something about the jackhammers and Ned rigs, I throw Z-Man stuff. The TRDs are big TRDs, and that's the staple.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the Z-Man plastics. I like them a lot.
Yeah.
I like them for all my Ned rigs, and I like them for drop shots too.
Yeah, that's the same. I have mostly Z-Man stuff for my drop shot as well.
Yeah, they float. They're great. They're really,
and they just
really
last, especially when you're drop shotting for smallies.
Oh my God, you'll just tear off a plastic every other time with something else, and it's sort of part of it, when you're drop shotting. But it is what it is. I love this question. It's about music. Now, do you listen to music while you're out on the water at all?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Listen, not as much as I used to.
Okay,
but when I'm fun fishing, I will.
Yeah.
But tournament fishing, I don't as much. Unless if I'm having a really horrible day, I will, and I'll start screaming, yelling, singing at the top of my lungs, which no one really wants to hear. But it's just more to try to relax than anything else.
Exactly. So, what are you listening either on the way to the water or while you're on the water in order to hype yourself up?
It's going to talk about opposite ends of the spectrum. So it really depends on my mood in the morning. Yeah. It depends on my mood in the morning, but it's either like country, or it's like heavy metal, that type of stuff. It's one end of the spectrum, and it really just depends on the mood I'm in. There's something about when you're having a bad day and throwing on some, either Aussie or Pantera or Revenant or something like that.
Yep.
You throw on something like that, and then if it's nice out and I'm just relaxing, and it's a beautiful day out, I'll just throw on some country and just kind of sing along as I'm fishing.
Oh yeah,
just to relax.
That's exactly it. So there's it all kind of depends on what sort of mood I'm in too. Like some days it's going to be a replacements morning, other times it's going to be napalm death, other times it's going to be I mean, it can be anywhere in there, and that's other times I just listen to podcasts. But what's funny is I've noticed this much. I've gone out with friends, on their boats, and they'll have like a small Bluetooth speaker. In my mind, that's the best way to do it, because otherwise,
that's what I do too.
Yeah, because otherwise, what'll happen is I'll pop my earbuds in, and there was a habit I started while I would take a phone call or something. I put an earbud in. Doing one is fine, but putting both in when you're listening to music, I miss so much stuff that's happening around me. So it's thumbs up for a Bluetooth speaker, thumbs down for Bluetooth headphones.
Absolutely.
That's just it's just too. I think that's my biggest beef, because I noticed I was like, when I'm listening to music, I don't catch as much. What's going on? And then I was out with, who was it? Well, it was one of our homies for the Jigs and Bigs fam, Delirious Angler, and he likes a lot of metal. Surprise. But we were listening to a mix on his boat, and I was just lighting him up. I had like a couple of 19s. I was like, this is a great day. What is it that's going on here? And I was like, no headphones. Might be it. That might be it.
Yeah.
Is there anything now? Have you ever traveled anywhere to fish, like specifically just to fish?
So not out. So outside of tournaments, no.
Yep.
But for KBF and stuff like that, I mean, I've been, Louisiana, Texas, Kentucky, Florida, all through the South, all up along the East Coast, and then over towards Ohio is as far as I've gone that way.
Okay.
But other than that, really just Maine, New Hampshire, or Massachusetts if I'm just gonna go out. But even Massachusetts was always to fish a tournament or whatever. But there's so many events up this way now. It's really hard. I don't have a whole lot of time to fun fish. It seems like I'm always fishing a tournament.
Oh, definitely. Especially like when you start factoring in monthlies and all sorts of other stuff. It's a lot. Now, is there a destination, like a dream destination that you would love to go and fish if you had the opportunity?
Yeah, there's 2 really. One of them being Gunnersville, so I was really kind of disappointed about last year. I really want to fish that place, but I want to fish it in the spring, so I wasn't as disappointed to miss it at the end of the year. I'm not really a frog guy, although it seems like a lot of guys were catching fish on chatterbait, and so that sounds like it would have been
Right up
good.
your alley, then, yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, I really want to hit Fellsmere in Florida. That place is just just got giants, and and that was the thing. Before I ever got into kayak fishing, when I lived in Florida, I lived like 30 minutes from there, and my in-laws still live down there, and they're probably in that same 30-minute range from Fellsmere, so I'm still itching to get back down there and try to get there.
Nice. Very nice. Let's get into gear a little bit.
Yep.
What's your, general, like when you're out, especially when you're doing tournaments, I'm curious, what's your typical rod and reel arsenal look like that you're bringing out on the yak with you?
So I bring way too many. I've brought as many as 13 rods with me.
What?
But yeah, and that was when I went to where was it in Florida where they used to do that 10, not the 10 Invitational, but yeah, maybe it was the 10 Invitational. That private place. I can't even think of the name of it now. But anyway, I was bringing like 13 rods with me out on the kayak.
How do you store them?
So I had like 6 in my black pack, and then at the time I had a pro angler, so I had 6 vertical.
Gotcha.
On the horizontal storage, and then I had 1 in my hand. So
yeah, I guess it makes sense if you got the room, go for it.
Yeah, it just saves on tying, right?
Yeah.
And especially like throwing chatterbaits, right? Sometimes they may want green pumpkin, sometimes black and blue, and instead of switching back and forth, I can just grab a rod.
Yeah.
And once one starts working, I can put the other one away, right? And but now I've got it down to where I've usually got about maybe 8 or 9 at most. But sometimes I'll go places knowing I'm only going to throw 3, but I don't necessarily want people to see what I'm. I want people guessing, right?
That's a good point.
I'll tie stuff on that I'm not necessarily going to throw. So if they see it on the leaderboard or whatever, then I got to keep them guessing as well. But that's just a strategy thing, and probably
I hadn't even considered
more in my
that.
own head than anybody else's.
Yeah, but no, it's a good idea. People see you out there with like this giant swim bait, and it lets them think that you're doing one thing, and that maybe I should throw something bigger, larger presentation.
Yeah, when I was at East West, when I went to East West, I threw a jackhammer all day long. It was the only thing I threw for that entire tournament.
Yeah.
And but people would come by. Like I was in this one same probably 100-foot section of bank the entire tournament, and no one was anywhere near me. And then I started catching fish, and I was up near the top of the leaderboard. Next thing you know, there's people starting to move around. And since I was fishing a shoreline and I was going up like 100, maybe 150 yards, when I'd move down the shoreline, people would go into where I was. So what I started doing is they were paddling past me as I grabbed my spinnerbait rod, knowing damn well I couldn't.
You weren't going to hook a damn thing.
I couldn't catch anything on it. And so, so I'd and I'd grab that rod as I was pedaling around, and and then when I'd get to the end, and I'd circle back around because the spot would fill in. You could see people throwing a spinnerbait, and I was just kind of smiling to myself.
Oh,
and then, I'd throw in right behind him and start catching more fish on the jackhammer. And so, like I said, I don't know if it really made that much of a difference, but that day it did.
Definitely, man. That's like the second best catch when you catch another fisherman doing like the dummy technique you're throwing out there. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad.
And I always tell people, if you're trying to copy what I'm doing, man, you don't have much of a chance because you better be following somebody else if you're trying to watch what I'm throwing.
That's how I am. I tell everybody, I was like, this is what I'm doing, but I'm not the guy. You want to follow what I'm doing?
Exactly.
All I'm doing is just picking a card. That's it. We'll see how it works.
Exactly.
I love this question. Now, this is something Sean and I have actually had many conversations about, and at length. We've rehashed this over and over. But there's a scenario we like to throw out there to the guests. So the scenario is this: you're going to an unnamed body of water. As far as like the only information you really have is it's kind of got a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of wood, a little bit of rocks, some grass, some lilies, like nothing crazy, but it's got a little bit of everything. We'll say it's a partly cloudy day, and you're only allowed to bring it. It doesn't even have to be brief from your arsenal. Like, we're giving you the Jigs and Bigs corporate card, and you can go build this combo. You're allowed to bring one rod, one reel, and a single spool of line with you. What is it that you're going to bring, and what are you throwing?
Ooh, so, man, I'm probably bringing so I switched over to cash and rods this year after using a buddy of mine's. So I'm probably going to bring my cash and chatterbait rod. It's a medium heavy. Mm-hmm. I'm going to bring that. I'll have my Shimano SLX DC reel.
Okay.
My line, I'm going to throw my 17, either 15 or 17 pound fluoro. Likely Seagar. And then as far as a bait, if it's partly cloudy, I'm going to guess it's going to be a little bit windy. So I'm probably going to fish the grass with a spinnerbait.
Very nice. I love it. Aside from actually going out and buying fishing gear or anything like that, how has fishing kind of made itself a part of your lifestyle? Like, I'll give you an example. There isn't a moment that goes by where I don't, for whatever reason, have like soft plastics or drop shot weights in my pockets. I don't remember putting them there, but they're there. How is it like that fishing's kind of become the everyday for you?
So I can tell you that from usually March until October or November,
yep.
My family cannot use my truck because all my entire truck is just full of crap. Like, I don't even wash it. I don't try to vacuum it out because every weekend I'm going fishing. So my black pack's in there. Usually my Dakota battery's in there. All my, everything is in there except my rods or what's in my kayak. And I don't take it out because you get out of a tournament on Saturday, I'm going to haul all that stuff out, take it in the house, put it away, and then 5 days later, grab it and turn it all around. So yeah, I got a full size back seat in my truck and I'm the only one that can get in my truck for that whole tournament season.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I've been there, and I mean, I try to fish 4 days a week. I'm like, I'm not unloading this. I leave my kayak strapped onto my roof rack for most days because I'm like, I've got the tree cover. I can keep it out of the sun. Yeah. All right, it's gonna stay there because I'm gonna be using it. No, that's good, man. So, Jason, go ahead. This is an opportunity for you to go ahead and sort of promote not only the club, if you want, but also like your own social media and stuff. If people want to kind of touch base with you, follow with what you're doing on, kind of tag along for your adventures, go ahead and promote what you have coming up. And if there's anything club related, if anybody's interested in joining or anything, let them know how they can do that too.
Yeah, sure. So, as far as my own social media, I've got Instagram. It's at Obsessive Compulsive Fishing. I'm a lot less active on Instagram, and I don't know why, because it's easier to make one post and share it to Facebook. But whatever. Facebook, you can find me there. It's all I use Facebook for. Really, is just fishing related stuff. I don't use it for family or any of that stuff. So they can find me there. Our trail is on both as well. Maniac Anglers on Instagram and Facebook. And as far as social media, that's really all I participate in, man. It's, I got so much other stuff going on. The last thing I need is to be on Twitter and some of these other new ones that are popping up, Parler or whatever, Prowler, whatever the heck that thing is, or any of that other stuff, right, man? I'm just too busy as it is. But
you and I are not the TikTok guys, no.
Yeah, no, not at all. So, I think I created a YouTube channel like a year and a half ago, and I got 2 hard drives full of content, but I've never edited a single piece or uploaded anything yet. But I am out there, but you won't find anything.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. Well, Jason, this was really great, man. I'm glad we were able to do this. We should, I keep telling Sean we need to plan some trips to fish in other New England states. I'm just about to get him into Connecticut. Right. It was nice. It's taken some pulling of teeth, but I think we're just about there. But yeah, we would love to get up and fish with you in Maine sometime. So we'll have to make that happen for sure.
Yeah, man, anytime. And my downstairs and most of the guys on my trail other areas, people in other state will tell you, man, if you want to come here and go fishing, and more than welcome to even crash at my house. I got an extra room downstairs. It's my fishing room. It's kind of a mess, but there's an extra pull-out couch. I've got cots and stuff like that. And I've had 2 or 3 guys crashing downstairs at my house before tournaments. Ken's been here. So more than welcome to come down anytime. And I'd love to take you guys fishing.
Awesome, man. That'd be fantastic. We're definitely going to make that happen for sure. So thanks so much for doing this, Jay. I appreciate it. You have yourself a good one, man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me and promoting the anglers in the region. So
absolutely.
It makes a difference.
Yeah, that's great, man. We're glad to be a part of it. All right. Take care, buddy.
All righty.
All right. Too. Have a good one. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this show right here. I knew that you guys were going to appreciate all the good stuff that Jason had to contribute, even though the fishing locally is really, really a struggle until we can get some ice and kind of dial some things in. It's great that we've got such an amazing network to bring some folks in and share their stories with. It's kind of what it's all about. Sean, what are your feelings? Let's talk about our feelings.
Let's talk. We could have another therapy session. Now it's my turn. Dude, we talked about some different stuff today. I think that reflects. So we got a lull in fishing, and I'm planning on picking it back up this week as long as my schoolwork's done. As long as I'm a proper student, I'll be back on the water, and I'll have some more information for the listening public.
Absolutely,
so they can get they can hear about me fishing cold water with Nelson and John and swearing about it, and Nate. Yeah,
and swearing about it. I think emphasis on the swearing about it. We should mic you guys up one of these days. Just get clips here and there.
I wouldn't mind it. You hear a lot of swearing. Like
I'm all right with that.
Positive and negative swearing.
Yeah. Be like, holy shit, look at that. That was amazing. Or can you fucking believe this? Although actually that's my boat even before it gets in the water. That's those are the sounds that come from my boat. Oh, good stuff. No, we have some good stuff that's coming. I'm going to be getting out on the water and doing a little bit. I got to tell you, the worst part about this time of year for me is the level of the amount of sunlight that we have later in the day. I used to love getting the podcast edited and then running my kids where they need to go in the evenings and then taking a couple hours on that. Monday is like the only evening I've got totally off and taking a couple hours and fishing, and there just isn't enough daylight to be able to make it happen, to make it worthwhile. Not for a decent bank mission anyway. So,
well, I'm going to get into into an issue here because you brought this up. The only time I've ever signed a petition for anything in my life, for any government.
Oh, okay.
State, local, or federal is to remove the either, keep daylight savings year round at this part of the country, or put like Massachusetts and some of the other extreme eastern states in the Atlantic time zone, because I fucking hate this.
Oh, it's the worst, man. It is absolutely the worst. Sun starts going down at 4:30 and you're like, yeah, it's done. I did have a nice
Oh, good.
I did have a nice little stretch where I was able to actually get out before I would go and host trivia. I would go and fish for like an hour or two beforehand. Oh, it was the nicest little setup. Now it's just it puts me there way too early. I'd have to be out of the house just way too early. It really kind of sucks. But that's par for the course. I'm already looking for spring. Already, I'm like,
wait till you get into ice fishing. Like I said, I got away from it for years, and I have a whole new outlook on ice fishing because, you got a portable grill and a few tip ups. It's a different ball game.
Oh, 100%.
It's true. Yeah, I think you'll like this. And just to wrap up on the time thing, like I said, I hate the clock changes. I think they're stupid. I don't think there's a point to them anymore.
It's just outdated.
If there ever was, and you can look online, there's always like 50 different theories about why they started. It's stupid. It doesn't fit today's world.
Yep.
What is the point? All it does is fuck people up twice a year. And except for what? Arizona doesn't do it. I don't think Hawaii does it. And isn't there a part of like Indiana or Ohio that doesn't do it?
But you know what? I think you might be right on Ohio.
Well, there you go. We found the smartest people in the country because this is stupid that we do this. It's dumb. It's fucking idiotic. Yeah. I hate it. And that's all I can say about that.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I think that'll about wrap up today's episode, everybody. Just another quick reminder that we do have a new shop in the works for our Jigs and Bigs merchandise. We did have some people just this week that had gone and ordered some stuff from the current store. Those designs are still going to be available in this new store, but we're planning on launching when we get there with a handful of other designs as well. So once all that kind of, my goal is to make it as seamless of a transition as possible. So you guys will definitely want to go and check that stuff out. Also may have an additional coupon code for our patrons over at our Patreon page that they can save themselves a little bit of money on Jigs and Big stuff as well. What's so funny?
Coupons? My wife and daughter are sick. You're telling me about coupons? How can I help you, sir?
It all goes back to the Jerky Boys. Every single time. It all goes back to the Jerky Boys. My goodness. Alrighty, guys. Well, that about wraps it up from us. You guys go ahead and get out there, share some of your fish stories with us. Feel free to jump into our DMs on Instagram or shoot us a message over at jigsandbigs413@gmail.com. Remember, I'm serious. Like, if you have a roadkill story, then we'd love to hear it. Bring them on. I mean, we'll talk about it. We may not even throw them in the podcast necessarily, but we might just do a live stream where we talk about roadkill and bring everybody together that way through roadkill.
Yeah, people really got to be paying attention to that Facebook because our Facebook page, because you've done some live streams off the cuff. Some of them have been like 5 minutes ones you haven't even told me about. So I've been like, oh shit, Bobby did one.
And go for it.
Yeah. But then the bigger ones, like the one on Thanksgiving, that was nice to include me. And we had Delirious Angler.
Yeah,
and we didn't mention that too. We had Delirious, and he was a blast. And
that was a good time. It was definitely a good time.
That was definitely off topic of fishing. Did we even talk about fishing? We got on that ridiculousness.
We definitely did.
Yeah.
We definitely. I don't even know that we really talked about fishing much at all, other than we did review the jigs and go over some of that stuff. So we didn't talk about any kind of outings or anything like that. I think we talked. Man, Jesus.
So there you go. There's a reason to pay attention. Or, folks, if you want to see what our jigs look like, go ahead and look on our Facebook page. That video is still floating around there, right?
It's there, and it's also all of the stuff that we post on our live streams that runs on either our Facebook page. It's also on our YouTube channel. So if you go to the Jigs and Bigs YouTube channel, you can watch that stuff all back, everything, and check it all out. There are plans for more of those. Thanksgiving just seemed like the right kind of time to just go ahead and jump out there with it and try and play around. I thought it worked out pretty well. Definitely interesting to watch back, that's for sure. But yeah, check it out. Definitely like our Facebook page if you don't already. This way you'll at least get notifications when we do live streams over there. And the same thing with our, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll get a notification of when we're going live, when it happens. So that way, if you're able to, you can jump right in. And what's cool about the live experience is that you can comment as it's going on, and we'll involve you and kind of have a good conversation. I mean, come on, Sean. I ended up getting a staff biologist on because of that last live.
Yeah, that was actually awesome.
That was amazing.
What else? We had the jig. Well, let's cover the topics on that 2 hour. I know it's stretched out to 2 hours, and we were after 2 hours. We were like, what the hell what just happened? Delirious was like, well, Delirious was delirious. He's like, you guys do this? We're like, we're here to make each other laugh at this point.
Pretty much.
So, we have a good time just bullshitting about anything. And if anybody's going to watch it and enjoy it and, not think about any of the shenanigans that are going on in the world or country right now, then fuck, I'll keep talking. I don't care.
And you never know who's going to get what out of the content that you put out. So if somebody out there is finding value in it, hey, I'm not going to complain. Yeah.
But what did we cover? We covered the jigs. We covered our new staff biologist, Daniel from Louisiana.
Yep.
Daniel, shout out to you.
We also had a nice little breakdown in Cajun cuisine. We talked a lot about that. We talked a lot about food. We really did. We did talk a lot about food.
You and I are not small mammals. We have to talk about food.
No, it's true.
What was the other thing? I think we got into video games a little bit, didn't we? Because somebody brought up we need a Jigs and Bigs video game, which that spawned off spiral out of control quickly.
That's right. And we were talking about making like Delirious and Wild Bill like bosses and stuff.
Yeah. One of the obstacles on the open world was the dude bud was going to whip food out the window at us. You got to watch out for. That's an obstacle. You got to jump a burger coming at you, or a one bite bagel might be winging over your head. You never know. But yeah, we had some fun with that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
I think Delirious was a little pasted to the wall. I don't think he expected quite what we.
No, we just kind of jumped in and ran with it. It's a little frightening, actually.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, I'll tell you, it says something. If we, and I don't think that we did shake up Delirious, but if you can shake up Delirious, you're a special kind of stupid. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Well, you're really, really special because you did something.
Yep, absolutely. So that'll do it from us, guys. Thanks so much. We really, really appreciate you guys listening, tuning into the show, following this. We are like just a handful of follows away from breaking the 7K mark on Instagram. So if you're not following us right now, go on over and follow our Instagram. It just does so much for my fragile ego. It really, really does. So go ahead, give us a follow over there. We're so close. The goal is, ideally, within a year of this podcast, before April, I'd like to hit 10,000, just because I'd love to be able to share links in our story. That's all I want to do. Share links. Something cool's going on. Oh, hey, we just dropped the Western Mass fishing report. Boom, swipe up for it. That, like, I feel like that would be like driving a Rolls Royce. I don't know why. I think that's going to be amazing, but it is. So definitely go check it out. One other real quick mention, as you heard in the show, that we do have an ongoing Christmas giveaway, a fundraising Christmas giveaway for Toys for Tots that we're aligning with a slew of other Instagram pages, and we're all doing this umbrellaed under Stretching Lines Anglers Gear. There's an amazing giveaway, some great prizes that you can win, and also do something fantastic and support a great charity, Toys for Tots. Go check out Stretching Lines Anglers Gear for that post, the official post with all the rules, and follow the rules. You got to follow the rules, and you can win yourself some great stuff. It's going to be awesome.
Follow the rules. Read the rules. Follow them. That's all I have.
It's true. Guys, have yourself a good one. We'll see you next time. Tight lines. See, I knew we were going to have a great episode for you guys today. Even though the fishing has been kind of weak as far as our local waters and our adventures getting out there, we still managed to polish a turd. If nothing else, we have polished a turd for you guys, and we're giving you the best that we've got, as always. So,
hey, Bobby, hold on. I can't let that go. Start over again. That was awful. We can't say we're polishing a turd for our podcast.
What?
That sucks. That is the most negative shit. That's the most negative shit I've ever heard you say. Come on, we can do better than fucking that. Hey, here's your turd. Suck on it. No. That's fucking awful. Why don't we just come back from break and be like, hey, here we are. Why the fuck are you listening? We start seriously.
Good news, folks. This is the end of the podcast. You've reached the end of it. Good job. You made it this far. Hope you're fucking proud of yourself. End.
Buy our shit.
All right. Here we go.
Listen, keep that one around because that is that's a fucking.
That might be an Easter egg. That might be
an Easter egg.
I won't delete it. I'm going to leave it. Sorry, error.